Alright, well, welcome everybody. This is episode 57 of the Sunday Sequence Break. We have, this is a special episode because Flicky's gone again for the second week in a row. But it's also special because this is the newest game we've ever had on the show, I think.
I believe so. This is probably the newest game.
Yeah.
By 5 days over Meat Boy.
Yeah,
really?
It was a close call between this and Sonic 2, because none of us knew anything about Sonic 2, so we just assumed it was made like last year.
Yeah, Sonic 2 sounds like one of those modern remakes.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
We don't go in for that stuff, sorry.
Yeah, Flicky won't be here today. We sent him to get some milk from the grocery store like 2 weeks ago, and
he ended up in Germany or something?
I don't know. He's somewhere in Europe.
He's someplace in Europe.
Well, somewhere in Europe that isn't home, because he's normally in Europe.
As long as it's good quality milk. I mean, if he comes back with something bad, he's gonna have hell to pay.
Yeah, it's not gonna go over well. But really, he's doing some sort of coverage for some event for Team Liquid, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's doing something productive, so that's always a good excuse.
Yeah, he'll have something to talk about next week, instead of making stuff up on the spot like he usually does.
Yeah, well, we're gonna make up stuff on the spot for him anyways, because we have to do a recap.
That's true, we do.
Yeah.
Oi, guys, I'm back! Why don't I tell you about what I did?
10 out of 10.
Alright, so, speaking of Nimbus, we've got with us three guests this week. Not just two, three. Extra special week. So we have, Blackie.
Hello.
Boney Grunt.
Hi.
And Crate.
Hey, everybody.
Hello. And as always, we have Feasel.
Forget me.
Yeah, and Feasel. And me. That's PJ. No Flicky and no Duckfist this week. This is TSSB Light. So with that, we're going to go on to the recap. And just to mix things up this week, I think we're going to start with our guests.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
That's insane. Why are we mixing it up like this?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Throwing everything off. So we're going to start with Blackie.
Okay. So I've pretty much been playing a lot of our very own Game of the Week, Nimbus. I've been focusing on ILs, which we'll get into. But otherwise, I mean, really, for the past several months, I've just been kind of playing a lot of new games blind. I mean, recently I've been playing... I've been playing Prince of Persia for GBA. That was a fun one.
Wow, that's
yeah. It was actually I was
move.
expecting it to be so much worse than it was, but it was actually pretty good.
Is that GBA? So is that like a remake of the SNES version?
I don't think it's a remake. I think it's just fresh content.
Oh.
But the same style, right? The same kind of engine. Okay.
But it's
There's
not
still like 20 frames of delay between your jump and when you try to jump.
I'm telling you, it's better gameplay than that.
What?
And it's Sands of Time stuff too. So you've got like reverse time and all that nonsense.
Wow.
And there's some girl that you meet along the way. So there's this like you switch between the two to solve puzzles. Like your standard thing of you stand on this tile to unlock something while I go through it.
Like Lost Vikings, Persia style.
Yeah, exactly. But it was still fun, and it was a lot better than I expected.
Yeah, sounds like it.
I don't know what else. I actually finally beat Kid Icarus for the first time recently. Despite having played it on SGL, I only beat it recently, and it was a lot of fun. I liked it.
I saw that. How do you like the last level?
The auto-scroller?
Yeah.
It was auto-scroller-ricious.
The epic auto-scroller ending.
Yeah. But fortunately I knew that there was some like safe spot you could just sit in and beat the final boss with, so it took a couple tries to find that delicious spot, but eventually I did it. But I mean, otherwise I've just been playing random ass games. I played Astyanax, and I beat that for the first time. That was a doozy.
Yeah.
But yeah, just tons of random stuff, really.
Nice. Yeah, sounds like a productive week.
Mm-hmm.
Boney Grunt, what have you been up to?
Same stuff for the most part. I played a little Nimbus a couple days ago, and I'm consistently almost getting a PB, so there's that, for better or worse. I'm learning Bomberman Hero, maybe. We did a blind race of that a few weeks ago with like 20 people, and I'm not sure if it's going to go anywhere yet, but I learned the first two worlds, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's basically the whole game.
Yeah, that's true. It's not bad. It seems like an easy game to learn, so we'll see if I stick with it or not. But there are a few other people learning it too. I know Jorf is taking it up, maybe. We'll see. A couple other people, perhaps, but we'll see where that goes.
Nice.
And I did a blind race with Bangera and a few other people on Saturday. We did Samurai Pizza Cats. And that was the weekly race. And it's a pretty cool game. It's got like a TMNT style character swap thing where all the characters have like different abilities. The game wasn't really that good aside from that, but it was cool. Cats are good. And we blind raced Felix the Cat on the NES too, and that was also fun. That's a really good game.
Yeah,
You should play that.
I think, doesn't Duckfist run that?
Yes, he does.
Yes, he does.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Did Annie Meowsers take part in the Samurai Pizza Cats?
No, but I think we mentioned him.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a big fan. All right, so that leaves us with Crate.
So unlike these other two guests, I'm not much of a blind racer.
What?
And also,
Get out.
yeah, I know. I don't know where it came from. And also, I haven't been playing a lot of Nimbus. I kind of needed a break after how much I'd been playing. And a couple weeks ago, we did our first weekly race, and I just wasn't having too much fun. So, decided to take a break. So instead, I've been working on catching up on my indie game backlog because I buy a lot of indie game bundles and I haven't played half the games.
That sounds about right, yeah.
Sounds about right, yeah. And I just ran into a couple of them that were reasonably fun to speedrun. So I did some Out There Somewhere, and actually that was coincidentally on TSSB last week.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw that and I was like, as I was playing the game a couple days before, I was like, well, this looks kind of fun to speedrun. So then Surface Run was on last week, and I went ahead and did my own run for this week, which I'll tell you about later.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that's a weird coincidence, because I think it's on this week's. Oh.
Yeah, and then I also played some Toby's Vertical Adventure, which I'm kind of learning based on Seth's run that's on SBA, I think.
Yeah, I think that was
the one
just
he has
posted.
on YouTube. Yeah, so that's a pretty fun game that's broken in fun ways. You know, good old clipping through walls and such.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about all I've been up to this week.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds like a really productive week. I feel bad now. So speaking of runs that have been posted on SDA, just so I don't forget, SDA is still in the middle of the big push. It's still April, so there's still tons of runs being posted on SDA. It's a really great time of the year. I think I've had 4 of mine posted this month, and there's like 3 more on the way.
Wow.
There's lots of good stuff to see there. Alright, Feasel, what have you been up to?
Oh, what have I been up to? Jeez. Let me see. I played a little bit of Turtles. I streamed some of that, but not very much this week. It's been a pretty busy week for me with non-video game stuff. I've been practicing a heck of a lot of Ninja Gaiden, so that's been pretty nice. But I haven't been streaming it because it's pretty boring to watch someone just drilling levels and killing themselves at the end of it for, 4 hours at a time.
Yeah.
But let me see. I did order my Power Pack, so that'll be fun. The NES Power Pack. So that'll open up all kinds of possibilities. I hope to start being able to use save states to do some practicing on console, so that'll be amazingly helpful for so many things.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's something to look forward to. And then I've been experimenting a little bit more with the Technodrome manipulation, just sort of looking into it and kind of trying to develop some practice tools for myself to see if I can get better at it. Because right now that's really the limiting factor. I can easily put together, well, not easily, but I can eventually, with a reasonable amount of streaming, put together a good enough run to beat the world record. But chances are that run's going to get killed by lack of Technodrome spawning. So
yeah,
got to get that worked out before I can go much further with that game.
Yeah, it's got to be frustrating to test.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is, right. You do something and you don't know if it's worked for another 18 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's like, stupid. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been watching you recently, if for no other reason than because in your chat one time, PJ pointed out how wonderfully great it is when, in I think stage 3 or 4, I don't know which, when you're crossing the rope thing, and the guy spins it around 20 times, put all this effort into it, and then he just hooks it to the post right next to him. And, that's where that works. I appreciate that so much, and, it's enough to watch the stream for.
Yeah, I ruined someone else's perception of that game, too, from that. It might have been Pasky. He was yelling at me because he can't see that ever
No,
again.
you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, that's one of the ironies of it. Just sort of like you go through a whole level where you're swimming in like electrified water with seaweed and stuff, and then like you can't possibly swim in the water in the sewer
No.
where
Yeah,
turtles
right.
live.
Unthinkable.
The Ninja Turtles live. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's about it. And I don't know. We'll see what happens over the next week.
Cool.
Probably more Ninja Turtles, if I had to guess.
Yeah, hopefully. As for myself, I've been playing some Ninja Turtles on my own. And by on my own, I mean with Mecharichter. He and I have been learning TMNT 3. We played it, I think we've only played it, I think yesterday was our second day playing it together. And my second day ever playing it. And it's actually coming along a lot better than I thought. It's a really fun game to play. So, really enjoying that. And on Friday and Saturday, just kind of out of nowhere, I decided to do Lagoon attempts. I wanted to stream, but ActRaiser 2 isn't quite ready. But Lagoon is for some reason. And I had like
Lagoon is so ready.
I had some amazing runs. It's like, my time's gonna be like an hour 28 or something. I got an hour 10 in on 2 attempts, and I died to this boss. I was 2 hits away from killing her, and she takes 128 hits to kill. So I was like right there in 2 attempts, but we'll get it sometime this week.
Is there a reason? Because I actually own both TMNT 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think I traded the third one away for like a pack of gum or something because I was an idiot. But is there a reason you guys decided to do 3 over 2? I mean, I think it's just like the special moves are a lot more in depth, right? And the game pretty much revolves around that, whereas 2 it doesn't.
Right.
I
yeah.
really don't.
All 4 turtles have their own unique special moves,
Okay.
and they're all useful except Don because he sucks. And when you die, you can switch turtles right away, so it's kind of cool. There's some strategy there, like dying and switching to a turtle with a better special move when it's more useful. TMNT 2 is just more like a bad arcade clone with a really abusable jump attack.
Yeah, it's really boring. Like, in a way, I mean, I love the game, but in like the original arcade game, but when this port of it, it's like there's no variety of attack at all. So I definitely prefer 3 to 2. Yes, for sure.
And it's weird that that's my justification when 3 is basically just spamming the specials on every enemy. But
it just seems like you're doing more, though. That's all.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun. And we play through the game with like 1 hit away from death because of the special views. So, I don't know, it's a lot of fun.
What was I going to say? There's no pre-existing 2-player like run or task of it, right? So you guys
there
are
is a
probably having
task.
to make up. Oh, there's there. Okay.
Yeah, the task is crazy though. It uses friendly fire and it like kills the other turtle at specific points to avoid some of the like there's some extra enemies in 2-player mode, so it kills his partner to avoid the extra enemies.
Oh, I see. Wow. That's awesome.
It's really crazy. I don't know how much stuff we're going to use, but we're really early into practice, so we'll see. Yeah. All right, enough of that. Enough of recap. We're way behind already.
Enough of that. Let's hit these splits and move on.
But I have faith we can make up this time. All right, so tell us about Nimbus.
All right, so I guess Boney, if you want to.
Okay. Sure. It's hard to kind of put Nimbus into a genre because it's a really obscure game, but we'll call it an action puzzle racer. $10 on Steam, and really the gist of it is you just control a ship that has no direct means of power. So all of the speed you're building up is from gravity, just from falling, as well as like cannons and trampolines, just tools to boost you. And you're just really trying to get to the goal of the end of every level and beat the game. There are 5 worlds. You beat a boss at the end of the game, which is the only boss in the game, and then you beat the credits level. And that's it. It's really simple.
I like to think of it as sort of
pretty simple.
Super Monkey Ball, except you can move vertically in 2 horizontal directions instead of in full 3D. It's sort of the same idea.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's kind of like Monkey Ball in a speedrunning sense too, because it's really easy to get the hang of, but it's really, really hard to get a good run just because of how the controls work. It's like really precise at every single moment. The controls are really simple because, again, all you're really doing is just moving left and right, and you can brake, which is also useful on several levels in the run.
You can brake?
And
what
the
kind
only
of
other
speed game is this?
Yeah, well, some of the levels are like really fast, and if you don't brake, there's a really good chance you're going to die. It's not something you use too often, but yeah, you definitely want to brake on a few levels just for a quick moment. just to make it much easier on yourself.
So what do you actually use to steer?
Well, you have two control options. You can use the 360 controller, whether you want to use the D-pad or the stick, obviously. And it has built-in support for that. You could use another controller too if you want to use Joy-to-Key or X-Pad or one of those things.
But you're only pressing left and right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Left, right, and a button for brake. And you can also shoot out of a cannon and blow yourself up, which is good for like death warps after you get keys and stuff. You'll see that in the
You'll
run.
see one right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is basically just Super Sheep training mode.
Yeah, I guess that's a good,
yes.
a good way to put it. But yeah, the control's really simple. You only have three main things, and again, you can blow yourself up and shoot out of a cannon, but those hardly even count. Beyond that, it's really just a matter of being familiar with the game, playing it a lot, and you'll just learn the controls over time and get really used to them.
Yeah, I mean, like, in a game with controls that basic, pretty much all the weight of its being good is placed on level design, but fortunately the level design is extremely strong with enough things that kind of Boney outlined from what you're seeing now, like all the balls and switches and trampolines and cannons throughout the level are diverse enough and each level's unique enough that it really it makes a very simple set of controls into a really fun and complex game.
Yeah, I think it's really cool every time I watch this to see like what you were doing right there at the arrows, and you just keep looping to build momentum.
Right, yeah.
It just like it seems like you just skip through half of the intended level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And even for a level like that you were just watching, there's kind of like three different ways to do it. You can go through the intended way. You can go through a really very easy to find by yourself way of just like building a little bit of momentum through a couple loops and just skipping like half of that thing. And then there's what you saw, which is doing a bunch of loops, which is fairly precise and just really pretty much skipping two extra pieces that you wouldn't be able to otherwise.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that the game allows for that.
And another cool thing about the game is that there is such a basis on just execution that there's almost no luck. There's some luck in how, like if you hit balls or whatever and they go off running into a direction, they can perform differently. Or like even if it's not based on your own movements, it's based on like how they were released or on like what frame, which you have no realistic control over. They'll just do different things.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Okay, the physics engine they use is usually really reliable and it's realistic if that's the point of it, but sometimes it just freaks out and things will happen that should not happen. There are a couple levels in the run that really rarely go wrong, but there's one in World 3 that you'll see later on. There's going to be like a barrage of balls just rolling down the slope, and sometimes they'll just like glitch out and a ball will go shooting at you, and if it hits you, you're dead. And sometimes
they'll stack up. And
that's the most common one.
The barrage of balls.
You're like supposed to go over the balls as they roll down, but if they're stacked, then it's almost impossible to do that, and you're just getting walled and you get hit and you can't do anything about it. But aside from that, there's not really any luck, at least in the any percent run. It's a really nice speed game in regards to that, because you hardly have to do
really anymore. Even if you do all levels, there's not really much more. I mean, it's just a couple more ball levels.
And if there is any more luck, it's again related to the weird physics glitches that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, so even the boss actually has no randomness to it, even though it might seem like it, but all his attacks are determined based on where you are.
So how did this game get started? I mean, we saw a submission of this, and we thought it was pretty cool and unique, but we see those, cool, unique games every once in a while, and then they just kind of fade away, but this has been going strong for a really long time.
Yeah, the single segment idea didn't really start for a really long time. When the game was first released, it has this in-game tracker of individual level times, and so really, like, as soon as the game was released, people started doing ILs for this level just because of that, like, without even talking to each other, forming a community or anything. Like, when I first got the game, just maybe a few months after it came out, I remember seeing these names like Surf Phoenix, Kier Delta, and Beer Baron, I remember, were the first people I saw just consistently on the top of the individual level leaderboards. And I wasn't really into that myself, just yet. I just kind of wanted to beat the game or whatever. But it wasn't really until maybe December of this last year we started racing it. I know Boney and Lightyear and I did some random race, like in the middle of last year sometime. But then in December, I think it was, we wanted to race it again, and we got the blind racing community into it, and a lot of them liked it enough to pick it up more. And that's really when kind of people started actually doing the game in single segments and doing any percents. And naturally from there, people wanted to start doing 100% runs, which we'll get into. But that's pretty much how it developed. Another interesting thing is, as some of you guys might know, that K-Vol, this game was developed primarily by two people, Sebastian and Felix. Felix's username is K-Vol, and back maybe, I don't know, sometime last year, I found that standard Contact Us button on their website. So I figured it's a cool little indie game. Why not write to the developers, let them know we've been racing it, see if maybe they want to come by and watch us sometime, or just actually might want to participate in a race. So I hit that button, sent them that email, and Sebastian wrote back saying he's not really that into racing it, but that K-Vol was. So eventually, maybe a couple months after that, K-Vol found his way onto the Speedruns Live IRC, and sent both Boney and I a PM. And from there, it pretty much just kind of developed into us learning about how he thought it was cool we were racing his game, and he really just kind of generally wanted to get more into the speedrunning community.
That's really cool.
So, yeah, it was really cool. So he, even outside of Nimbus, he started blind racing games with us, and he's still playing just random non-Nimbus games with us.
Oh, wow, neat.
And he started racing his own game as well, which was really awesome.
Yeah.
At some point, I think we just kind of were talking about maybe just having a random Nimbus race that was just well organized. And from there, he came up with these better and better ideas of how he could have cool prizes. Because at the time, he was working at the kind of next version of this game, which he's calling Nimbus Plus. So he had this idea where for this race that we were planning anyway, he could have some cool prizes for it. I think at the time he was suggesting maybe having the winner design a level, or putting a statue with their name, or that was some fictitious representation of them in the next game. So those were ideas he was throwing around, and eventually that just developed. I mean, we were kind of figuring out how to do it. Should it be the prize for who wins the final season, who's at the top of the season at the end of season 1 in SRL. Mm-hmm. But yeah, eventually we just had it kind of be based around this one single race, which Boney Grunt here won.
Yep.
So he's put something that none of us know about into Nimbus Plus. I'm looking forward.
It's a big mystery.
He put RNG into it. That's
it's going to be a random level and then an auto scroller.
Yeah, no, he just added wind. All the levels have randomized wind.
Yeah,
that's right. I don't know how it can be both swimming and ice physics, but it is.
Yeah.
One other thing I actually wanted to talk about, since I don't know the answer to this, only the answer for myself is, I wasn't sure how Crate and Boney, I guess, first found out about the game. Because like I said, I mean, the way I was involved was, I first found out about it probably a couple months after it came out. And, being a sucker for 100%ing a game and silly Steam achievements and stuff, I wanted to get all the coins and collectibles in the game, and I wanted to do all the, beat so-and-so level in such and such time, for that. And I mean, I first played it a couple months after it came out, and I tried beating some level times, but not many. But otherwise, I mean, I didn't really start racing, like I said, until we picked it up in December of last year. But Boney and Craig, do you want to go into how you found out about it?
Yeah, sure. I'll go ahead. So I actually got this in one of the indie bundles that it was part of. I think it was an Indie Royale bundle. It was forever ago. And I played it for a couple hours and then completely forgot about the game. and then what happens is I'm actually part of the Dungeon Crawl community. And it turns out that so is one of the blind racers, Marvin Pa. He's a crawl developer. So he was actually streaming a completely unrelated game. He was streaming some Brogue for the crawl people to watch. And Twitch doesn't know what Brogue is, so his game was set to Nimbus. And apparently that was the last thing he'd actually played. And then I'm like, wait, I have this game. It was fun and I never beat it, so I should actually go ahead and get back into it. So then I did. Yeah, hi Marvin Pa. So that's how I got into the game, and then that was, I'd been into watching speedruns for quite some time before then, and then it's like, well, okay, I know that this speedrun that I see from Boney on YouTube is quite improvable, so maybe I should go ahead and try to do that, and then I did. So that's pretty much how I got into it.
And that was, do you remember what the time was back then? It was probably like
22 minutes.
22? Okay.
Huh. Was
exactly.
It that run? Okay. I was thinking
exactly
it was the 23:17.
It was the 22-minute run.
Alright. I guess it's pretty much the same for me. I don't know if I saw it on Steam. I saw it somewhere soon after it came out, and then I thought it looked cool, but I didn't really think about buying it. And then it was in the India Royale, along with Eris, I think, which was another game I kind of wanted. So I bought it, and I played it for like 30 minutes. I thought it was cool. I figured I'd go back and play it again eventually, but I never did until we did the race with me, Blecky, and Lightyear that Blecky mentioned earlier. We did, I did like the last half of the game blind, and I thought it was fun. I honestly didn't think about really playing it again, at least for a while. And once we set up the blind race for a bunch of other people, they wanted to race it again. And I was like, alright, I'll join. This game is cool. People seem to like it. Let's give it another shot. And then on the second playthrough, I just loved it so much more for some reason. So it just went from there.
Nice. That's pretty interesting that neither of you had any interest in speedrunning it for a while.
Well, that's often how it is. You don't notice. It's not love at first sight. You're just like, all right, it's all right game. And then something comes along and you're like, well, wait, maybe I should beat that record. And especially when you see someone else's run and you know you can beat it. You're like, well, now I have to.
Yeah.
Shout outs to the racing community.
Yeah. Well, so that's pretty interesting, and I like this idea about being in touch with the developers, because it sort of makes sense, especially for developers of indie games, to find any avenues they can of ways to promote it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just trying to find creative ways to do it, and that's definitely a good creative way. And I hope that other people who are into speedrunning indie games will try to contact the developers and sort of like learn from this lesson and try to do similar things, because it's a great system.
Yeah. Yeah, contacting the developer of a game you run is a really cool experience.
Because, I know that it did well on Steam when it was released, and well enough that their company didn't go under, and they continued work, I think, immediately on their next stuff. But, obviously they still want to know, like, what the reception is, and I'm sure it's obviously reassuring for them to hear from people. So.
Yeah. K-Ball says repeatedly that he's surprised anybody's still playing this game.
When was this released? I'm sorry, you probably said it before, but I don't remember.
I looked it up. It was October 2010.
Okay, October.
2010. Wow.
Yeah, so it was out for years before I knew it existed.
Yeah.
So.
Jeez. All right. So what kind of categories do we have here? Is it just any percent and 100%?
Pretty much. So any percentage, just beat the game, obviously, as fast as you can. And then there's, as you've seen in a couple of these levels, there's also all these coins scattered around various levels. And right here you're seeing some of the Christmas levels, which is a bonus world you don't have to do any of to beat the game. But getting all the coins and doing Christmas levels, that's pretty fun. So there's a 100% category where you go ahead and do all that. And there's also some more bonus levels that are the scrapyard levels. These are sort of, we made all these levels when we made the game, and they suck. But they're done, so we might as well give them to you.
I see. It's like the B-sides of the game.
Nice.
Yeah. So there's the scrapyard, which is all these thrown away levels that are mostly pretty bad. So nobody really does any of the scrapyard levels, at least certainly not for a single segment run.
Okay.
So it's really technically 100% no scrapyard instead of 100%.
I gotcha. And everybody's just kind
Even
of
though
in
they are-
agreement that scrapyard is not something you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one likes them.
I don't
Like,
think
literally.
I don't think doing a single segment of the scrapyard levels would ever be reasonable, but maybe somebody will prove me wrong.
There are some that are pretty decent, but like there are enough that you'd never want to touch to not to warrant not including them. Like it can't be like 100% some scrapyard, but not all. Like that's all or nothing.
That's a great category.
Yeah.
Please don't
Yeah.
ever submit that category to us, please.
Even
So
though
does
they
this
are
game
bad,
track? Does it track the stuff that you're collecting at all, or is it just kind of up to you to know that you grabbed?
Yeah, it
everything?
tracks how many coins you have. If when you go back to the map screen, it'll show you X coins out of 68.
Okay.
There's 68 coins in the game.
And I assume there's some sort of achievement for getting them all.
There is.
Okay, so it's not like a category you made up, like the developers intended for people to try to do that. Okay.
Right.
So is it just coins that constitute 100%? Like, what are these other goals? There was a level earlier where there was like a red goal and a green goal. I'm assuming
Right,
that's a
so-
Christmas level.
Yeah, for 100%, it's basically hit every goal pad in the game and also collect all the coins.
Okay.
It's outside of Scrapyard. There's only one level that you actually can. There's only one level that has two goals that you don't have to hit both the goals to get to all the other levels. But I figure, if you're going to call it a 100% run, it makes sense to actually go ahead and get every exit, like a la Super Mario World.
Yeah, I was going to say, like Super Mario World, there's a bunch of useless exits that are still included in the 96 exit category,
That's-
so yeah.
The same
Makes
way,
sense.
it doesn't make sense to skip that one exit.
Yeah.
Right.
So those alternate goals actually unlock different levels than the
Yes,
main one?
the red goals unlock a different path along the world map.
Oh,
Right,
I
you
see.
barely see the overworld. You see little flashes of it now.
Right, you don't
but
see
there is
the
a
world because of my map navigation, and basically you can buffer your map navigation in this game when you finish a level.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, so I'm hitting enter and then some directions and then enter again, and it just takes me right into the next level for the
Very
most
nice.
part.
Okay.
Cool. So what are the records for these categories?
So the any percent record is 1937, and the 100% no scrapyard is 54:53. I have both those records. They're both quite improvable. There's a couple new routes that you can take on a couple stages in any percent, and I have a couple mistakes. I'm thinking if you really wanted to work at it and do some really risky strategies, you could get any percent down to about 19 minutes.
Wow.
But that would definitely require at least a couple new things that I don't do. And additionally, you can't make any more mistakes than I do. So that's hard.
Challenge accepted. I can make
100%,
plenty more
yeah.
mistakes than you do.
100%, I think 52 minutes-ish is realistic with what we know right now, but that's much less optimized probably since there's, the IL times don't include any coins or anything. So there's a lot of unexplored stuff there.
Yeah.
Okay. About how many exits are there total in the all exits version, in the 100% version?
Lucky.
There are 83 levels total, so
It's
probably
like 92 or something?
yeah,
Somewhere
something
around
like that.
Okay. And then how many exits do you take in any percent?
I don't know.
I'm just trying to get a sense of the relative, like, amounts of the game that you
It's
play.
probably about
A
not
third?
Christmas. It's probably about like 35, I would say,
Yeah.
just randomly.
Okay, like about a third. All right.
Something close. Yeah, about a third sounds right.
Okay.
This game looks really good.
I think that's something we would have counted.
I'm
Lucky, you
getting
should gift
mesmerized
this
by
to me.
watching it. He tried to give it to us. He had a bunch of
Yeah,
codes and you
geez.
didn't take it.
I
did
didn't
you?
have a PC that could run it back then.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
This is
game
way
is a little
back.
bit hard. It is a little bit hard to run and stream this at the same time
Yeah.
for whatever reason. I don't really know why that is, but it gives a lot of people some problems trying to do that.
It's the first one I've actually. I still am on the XSplit train, but it's the first game where I just had to download OBS just because it's more lightweight and it allowed me to stream it with less lag and whatnot.
Yeah.
That's a good tip.
Yeah, lag would not be something that you want in a game like this.
Yeah, an interesting thing about the way this game handles lag is that the timer runs in real time, regardless of how fast the game is actually running.
Oh,
So
wow.
if your game is slowed down, then basically what happens is you're going to be moving slowly, and then you'll get your in-game timer will be twice as long as it should be because you're lagging.
So with the in-game
Yeah, it's
timer,
actually-
are like, I'm assuming some of these obstacles are on a global timer. is that based on the game timer at all, or is that like actually based on how fast the game is playing? Like, could you abuse lag to slow down the obstacles?
You're lagging a bit, but I think I made out what you said. Basically, it's as soon as you enter the level, and well, actually, I'll get into this a bit for IL stuff. But when you first enter the level, your timer hasn't begun yet. Your timer starts when you push up after you enter the level, and that spawns your ship and basically gets you moving, even though the level was already progressing when you first entered the level. So basically, like, as soon as you enter the level, all these cycles are starting. All the balls are falling. All the, the spike columns are moving. And then you push up to actually start your ship and doing what you need to do. So something like lag doesn't really affect it. It's based on, once you enter the level. So, like, if you do lag your game, if your game were to freeze for a second, you would unfreeze for that second and everything becomes as if it had never lagged.
Okay.
So suddenly you ran into something or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
All right.
But that's kind of weird that your timer doesn't start, but the patterns of the stuff in the level do start.
Right. Yeah.
See, if you were going for best in-game time, you would like sit there for a while waiting for the right moment to begin. Huh.
Yeah. And I will get into that more when we get to IL stuff, I guess.
All right. Well, let's move on to whatever our next category is anyway.
Yeah.
Alright, well, we'll talk about glitches. There really isn't much. We've only found two things, really. There's a strat we found very recently on the boss that saves about 20 seconds. Crate, would you be able to touch on that since you know about that way more than I do?
Right, so if you go ahead and skip to the boss in the any % run, I have the timestamp here in the doc.
Yep, we're there.
Okay, so basically the way the boss works is the first two sections of the boss, there's no real tricks for them. It's just you're going to go around the level and he's going to shoot some fireballs at you and you have to try to dodge them. And then you'll notice that at the end of every wave of attacks, he's going to shoot some green fireballs at you. And they're different colored for a reason. Basically what it means is that the green fireballs shoot out from him straight for some amount of time, like the ordinary ones. And then they lock onto exactly wherever your ship is, and they just try to make a straight line to your ship.
Oh, I see.
Now what you can do here is you can put yourself in such a position that the fireball will go ahead and move backward and hit the boss. And that's how you're supposed to defeat him. And the first two phases, he takes 2 hits. And it doesn't matter how many fireballs hit him. You'll see in the second phase that he shoots out a big wave of green fireballs. You just have to hit him with one of them. And so you do that, and then he drops a key, and you can move on to the next phase. And the way that these attacks work is that they're based on wherever your ship is at a certain time. Except for the very first attack of the second phase, which is always the same regardless of where you are. So you'll see that you can always slip through these by staying above them, and it doesn't matter where you are. And then the rest just aim some angle ahead of your ship and some angle behind your ship. So there's nothing tricky here. You just fly around and don't get hit and make sure you hit him with the green fireballs. But then you get to the end of the second phase and there's some interesting stuff that we found out after. So what we had known a couple months ago was that you can beat this boss in about 2 minutes and 53-ish seconds. So that's a sizable portion of the run, obviously.
Yeah.
For any percent.
Right.
And the third phase we thought takes 3 hits, and we thought that you either had to go through an entire phase, or you can die and that will reset the boss's phase, and you can do that to speed it up a little. Well, it turns out it actually takes 4 hits, but you get the first hit at the end of the second phase. As you hit him with the fireballs after his outer ring falls off, he actually takes damage from that when you hit him with another one.
Huh.
And then what you'll see I'm doing here is if you hang in a very specific spot, then the third phase of the boss, you can hit him, and he won't warp away right after you hit him, which is what he normally does. So you're tricking him into thinking that he shouldn't warp. And by doing that, you don't have to suicide. You can just go ahead and hit him 3 times in a row, and this saves about 23 seconds.
Oh, I see. So is the game expecting that you have to hit that phase 4 times, but his health is actually
he
gone
has 4
before
health. Yeah, he has 4 health, but right at the end of the second phase, you hit him twice because the first one knocks the ring off, and then he's immediately vulnerable again.
Yeah.
And then another fireball hits him in the eye, and he takes damage. We didn't find that out until we figured this boss strat out. And this boss strat is big. A lot of thanks to Nebith for first getting under 250 by accidentally doing this, and then over the next day or so, Lecky and myself and a couple other people went in to investigate it, and I think I came up with the method that you see here that's consistent.
Yeah, at first we were really scared because we get the general gist of how and why it happens. I think it's basically kind of right here. You can see him hanging in a certain spot, and that's he hangs there just long enough for the boss to say, "Okay, you're in a spot where I need to shoot fireballs at you." But then you leave that spot, and so he thinks you're gone, and that resets his cycle basically. Whereas if you had hung there, he would go on to worthless attacks that take forever. But because you kind of leave his attack and he starts over again, he starts his attack over, which is the type of green fireballs that you want him to fire. So
and
it's pretty weird.
In theory, you could actually do this sort of thing in the other phases, but it wouldn't be useful because in those phases, the attack you want is at the end, so you don't want to reset it.
Right.
Whereas here, he does an attack you want right away.
I see.
And that's good because we've gotten him to like do the same sort of skip back to the beginning of the phase during the first part of the fight, but we don't know exactly what to do to make that consistent. So it's a good thing that we don't have to.
Yeah. And that's really the biggest, most useful quote unquote trick I think that we've found. There's a couple other ones, but that's pretty much the useful one.
All right.
Yeah, there's a couple others that are kind of useful that Lucky will touch on in ILs, but they're not consistent because they have to do with hitting balls in an unusual fashion.
One interesting thing, I guess, is there's this highlight from Boney Gun's stream, if you want to play that, PJ, he found at some point this out-of-bounds trick. There's a level where basically you can go out of bounds intentionally, and what happens when you go out of bounds is you just keep falling and falling and falling and building speed constantly. There's literally no cap to your speed. So unfortunately there's no level for you to go quickly in, but you just keep falling in this empty area, and you just keep building speed endlessly. If we could find out other places where we could go out of bounds, it might be useful, but there aren't really any level designs that would allow for it. Because basically what you'll see in this clip is the specific bit that you need to have one of these planks or some kind of object going ridiculously fast and kind of wanting to push you out of the level. And you need to be in a spot where it can push you out of the level. So what Boney's doing here is he's setting up this plank to be in that necessary spot, and then he's going to wedge himself in just the right spot so that the arrow track is saying, okay, go this way, and your ship is saying, no, I can't. But the arrows are saying, do it. And the plank is saying, no, I'm in your way. So here he goes, he's shooting down out of the level, through these blocks, and he's achieved this out-of-bounds trick. But like I said, there's no real other way to, no spot where you can really make use of it.
Yeah. Apparently, according to Kaval, the walls, if you can actually get out of bounds, there's none of the walls out there have any collision detection. And apparently the back of the goal doesn't have collision detection either, so theoretically you could hit the back of the goal this way. If you can get out of bounds in a level where it's useful.
Wow.
We aren't quite sure, but we think that it might be usable in 4.8, which isn't in the any percent route, but it is in the 100% route, and it's basically going to be a similar setup. You just knock one of those domino things into a treadmill and wedge yourself. We don't know if it's possible, but there might be a use for it.
The way to imagine the kind of collision detection of this game is like the outline. It's like almost an outline of the stage. Like the edges of all these walls and stuff, that's what stops you from moving. If you can get past that thin, like one tile wide outline, then you're in this gigantic, like you're in the wall and you can go wherever you need to. You just can't get back into the stage because there's that same outline that blocks you from it. But the the interior of these walls has no collision, it seems. It's just the outlines. So.
That's interesting. Well, I mean, that's where a lot of new strats come from. I mean, things that people knew they could do, but didn't have anything useful to do with it, and then someone finds the spot to apply it, and then there you go. But we'll see. It's also neat that you can actually get feedback from the developer, who will tell you, "Oh yeah, if you could get out of bounds, you could do that."
Yeah, he's actually the one who pointed out that the boss has 4 HP in the last form.
That's really handy.
That's cool.
It's like, wait, what are you doing? It's not enough hits.
All right. So, sorry, go on.
Okay, there's one more thing that's, I don't know if it's classified as a glitch or not, but it's really important for running the game, and that involves preloading levels. So basically, whenever you open up your game and you go into a level, it's going to take a little while to fully load it. Basically, the first time you load a level, you actually have to load everything within it. And then if you go into the level again, it'll load really, really quickly. Because you've basically preloaded the level, you have everything loaded. So it sounds really annoying, but before a run, you want to preload every level in the route so you don't waste a bunch of time loading each level. And it sounds stupid, but it's honestly really nice because it guarantees consistency between loading times, whether your computer is good or bad, because the quick loading speed is always the same, pretty much. So it's really nice, no matter how bad your computer is. Well, that's not true.
Assuming you can run the game at full speed.
Yeah, exactly. Then you won't have any differences. So
and you only have to do that for your first run of the day, right? All the subsequent runs, you just keep going.
Pretty much, yeah. As long as you don't close your game. And even sometimes if you do close your game, they'll stay loaded, and we don't really know why that is. But basically, if you keep your game open, then you won't have to preload every time. So it takes a couple of minutes, and again, it's kind of annoying, but it's really consistent. It helps with consistency. So it's really nice.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, there's a little bit of an annoying related bug to this, which is that if you're trying to do 100%, the game can't actually load every single level. You'll get a crash if you try to do that.
So you have to try to load as many of the most important ones as you can or something?
Yeah, the way I do it is I just don't worry about it and just go ahead and do my run anyway, because at this point there's not a lot of competition to begin with, and I'd rather focus on improving my gameplay and such.
Okay,
but if you really want the best real time, then yeah, you would go ahead and preload basically you preload as many of the levels as you can, and then do those, and then close your game and reopen it after you get past that point, since that's a little faster than just having it crash on you.
It's a little bit faster than having it crash. Nice.
So that's a little bit of an annoyance if you want to run the 100% category, but I think it's fun enough that I don't really care about that. I don't run it to get the best time. I run it because it's fun to go fast.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how that gets handled if that category ever takes off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that if you really wanted to get accurate gameplay times, we could try to maybe
subtract out the load time.
Yeah, subtract out
to be
load time
the portal runs.
Yeah, but that's annoying because there's so many levels.
Just give it to S. S will do
it. A lot of work.
S is the load time removing champion.
Okay. The next thing on the list you have here is map navigation. I assume that's what you're talking about with buffering your inputs for the map?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically you buffer it ahead of time so that you don't have to actually spend any time in the overworld.
Right.
And it's actually, it's the kind of thing you don't think to practice. It's like the equivalent of menu navigation in an RPG, or mashing through text in Zelda or something like that. It's just a necessary evil, I guess. And it's really not that bad once you get used to it. But I'd say it's pretty much a free 30 seconds or so.
Yeah, that kind of stuff really adds up.
Yeah.
Because if you just if you just kind of if you go to the map, you say you finish a level, you hit enter, you say, oh, okay, I'm on this level, then I will go to this level. Then that's whatever, a second or so that you've just wasted. Yeah. And if you just kind of it takes some memorization to say, enter.
Is this stream down?
Yep. Yep, I think we just picnicked.
Excellent.
Fantastic. Thanks, XSplit.
Oh, looks like it's back.
XSplit is still saying 0 dropped frames.
I'm seeing stuff, so I think we're back. Yeah, we're back. And related, actually, there's a bug related to this map navigation too, which is kind of cute and doesn't actually have any gameplay effects. But
does the bug crash XSplit?
If you do it just right, you can actually get the music from a different world to play in the level you're in. So if you, for instance, if you finish the last level in the first world, and then you press enter right, enter left, then what happens is that it will load the first level in world 2. Because you hit enter at the right time. But then it still somehow reads that you hit left again on the map screen, so it'll give you the music from world 1.
Okay.
That's
just purely cosmetic.
Yeah, it's just, you get different music. It's just an interesting bug that has no gameplay effects.
Alright.
That I found by accident.
No, that's good. It's always something to use to show off to your friends who are really into Nimbus. There you go. Alright.
Okay, so let's see. Boney, do you have anything specifically you want to say about any percent runs? Like any specific comments?
I don't think so, honestly.
Alright, well there's a couple things I want to touch on with 100%, and I'll go ahead and I'll just do like 1 or 2 of these. So there's some interesting route differences when you have to go get the coins, and that's part of the fun 100% to me, is figuring out how to do that.
Fun 100%.
So if you could play the 5-2 clip that I have.
Yep.
The 100% one.
No problem.
Yeah. So this is a particularly interesting level in my opinion, because okay, so it's a little bit after that.
It's right here.
Yeah. Should be. Yeah. So it's right after this. Right after the end of the level here that you're seeing, or maybe just saw, since I'm a little bit of a delay. But this level is cool because there's a bunch of coins, or there's 2 coins and there's 4 keys. And this is actually a completely different route from what I do in the any percent run, which you can go ahead and watch later, since I think we're a bit pressed on time and I'd like to let Lucky get to some of his IL stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you go ahead and instead of getting the keys in the same order, I actually go ahead and get the green and yellow first and then go up top to get that coin. And then I go over to the left and the bottom, and there's a coin down there, and you never even come down here in the any percent, because there's nothing down here but the coin, and you don't need that. And then the portal conveniently takes you right to the blue key.
Nice.
And actually, it's an interesting thing is if you do that really fast, you almost get, there's a Steam achievement for beating the level in like 30 seconds, which originally the devs thought, wow, 30 seconds is really hard. Well, my best time doing this route through the level with both coins is about 32 seconds. So you can almost get the achievement with this route.
With the coins.
Which is 15 seconds slower than what I do in the any percent run.
Wow.
And there's some other neat routes like this in the 100% run. Another one is that on 3.5, normally the goal in Nimbus is you want to reduce how much distance you travel, because you lose speed every frame and so on. But instead in 3.5, what I do is I reduce the wait time instead of reducing the distance. And it ends up that it's faster to go ahead and travel across the map 3 times because I just don't have to wait for any of these balls to hit switches.
Huh.
And this is one that Pure Delta, who's the other person who's kind of picking up 100%, he thought this one was really interesting, that I came up with this strategy. Because you'll see me crossing across this 3 or 4 times. So that's the sort of interesting thing that you can get with rooting for 100%. And then there's some coins that are just in a different part of the level that you don't normally go to, but I think those are sort of less interesting to come up with the route for.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and, Lucky, you can go ahead and take away the show here on talking about IL, since there's a lot of stuff that I want to hear about too.
Yeah.
I run this game, just a single segment as well, but what I've also been doing a lot of is IL stuff, individual level stuff. And so you might be familiar with kind of, that from something like Meat Boy or whatever, where people focus on a lot of ILs. Where basically the general idea of ILs is that since what you're doing is so much shorter, maybe like 30 seconds on average or 20 seconds on average compared to the 20-minute run, you can be as risky as you want, and you'll barely lose any time at all. So, I mean, idea number one is that you basically want to go fast and to hell with the consequences. Idea number two that you want to keep in mind for doing Nimbus ILs is that, like we touched on before, if you wait, can actually...
Might be on Twitch's end, yeah.
It could be. Yeah.
Alright,
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
seeing an ad, so...
Okay, so besides going fast with maximum risk, you want to wait at the beginning of levels to have these platform cycles or ball cycles or spiked column cycles be at the right position and make things go as quickly as possible. And lastly, basically, there are you can do super precise strats where, say, a ball is held in place by a certain set of blocks that you can toggle on and off. If you toggle those blocks off so that the ball falls, and then toggle them back on while the ball is still within them, it'll shoot that ball out super, super fast, like ridiculously fast. And you can already think about how, like, there's no way you're going to be able to do that in a run. But in an IL, it's basically like you can send the ball wherever you want by trying enough times. And
Yeah.
it's pretty insane stuff. And I'll show you one of those levels. The level I want to show you first is this 310C level, PJ, if you want to pull that up.
Yep, I got it.
And basically, the idea of this level is heavily dependent on cycles. There are fireballs all over. There's spiked columns all over. And so I think what you're seeing now is the actual run itself. And so as you can see, there's the runner is going pretty slowly. He's using a lot of these cannons, and he's just kind of not too dependent on cycles. He's working around the cycles. Whereas if you want to pull up the IL strat, there's absolutely maximum risk strats being used here. So what I did in this strat basically is I cut the fireballs ridiculously closely, and basically cut insanely everything closely. I skipped these cannons, as you can see, very narrowly skipping all these stupid fireballs.
Whoa.
And just
Looks like no
narrowly
problem.
going past everything. There's no way. I did this, I think, earlier this afternoon in preparation for the show, and it took me like 10 minutes to do. That's like dying over and over. And that's not the kind of time you want to lose in a run.
No.
Right.
So that's one example. Let's see what level I want to show up next. Let's do one of these switch ones. If you want to pull up the 391, PJ.
Oh, 3-9.
Yeah. So this is an example of a switch level. We're in a regular run. It's a type of puzzle level, because as Bonnie said before, it's a partially puzzle-based game. And you want to basically hit all these things in the right, hit these switches and get keys in the right order so that you can hit this green switch at the end and unlock the ultimate set of blocks that are blocking you from reaching a goal. I guess it's actually the blue switch. So as you can see, you're collecting keys, hitting switches, blah, 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 rolling the ball into the actual thing itself so that you can finally get through. Whereas in the IL strat, if you want to pull that up, what you want to do is you don't even go to the bottom set of the level at all. You hit the green switch. You let that spiked ball go down a couple times and basically hit the switch at just the right set of frames so that you bounce it off of the right block and it goes past the block just at the right time to hit that switch. And you push it right into that blue switch, which lets you get to the goal. So that time was 16 seconds compared to the, I think, 26 or so it normally is. And it can go, this is one of the most insane levels in the game. It can get even crazier than that, where you shoot the ball out at ridiculously rocket speeds and basically have it fly straight into the blue switch. And Mr. Monopoly has actually been doing runs for this game recently, and he found some interesting stuff whereas I said, I think it was like 16 seconds the IL strat you just did, we can push that down to 8.5 which is absolutely ridiculous. But
Jeez.
that would take hours to do once. So same deal where you don't really want to push that so far in a run. Next, actually, let's do 4-2B, PJ.
All right.
And so this is one of my favorite ones when comparing a run strat to an IL strat. Because in the run, there's this forking path in the level, where in a run, the consistent way to do it is actually taking the kind of secret path. So you go through this level, and on the right, there is this little secret path you can weasel your way through, which takes you straight to the kind of the final part of the level. And then you just complete that normally. I'll let that run through a little bit here, but basically the final part of you slow down a crap ton going through those smoke clouds.
Yeah.
And then it's just a matter of hitting the boosters. Whereas the IL strat is you do that, you wait at the beginning of the level for, this is the biggest one actually, you wait for 6 seconds so that all the cycles are in the right spots. And then you narrowly avoid everything, yada yada. And the spiked columns, which shift left and right, are in just the right spot where you can squeak by them. And after that, you squeak by all these crazy-ass spike left and righters. And then you hit these accelerators over and over, which is the hardest part, actually. And go through to that same last part of the level that you would if you did the secret route. And then lastly, you skip the checkpoints so that you preserve all the speed that you built using those boosters and make it through the level. And that can be like four or so seconds than regularly. That one's really hard. And then, let's see, 4-7, what is that one? Yeah, let's do 4-7.
Okay.
This one is pretty insane. This is
This is
collect all the keys level. So basically, it's kind of similar to that switch one you saw before, except rather than switches, you need to collect 4 different keys throughout the level. Because basically what it allows you to do is, it opens up this trampoline at the very top of the level, which you need to hit to barely access the goal. But in an IL strat, that barely means absolutely nothing. Because you only need to collect 1 key, which it's the blue key, and it opens up that right side of the little trampoline. So that you can just go up and down just barely enough so that you can just barely touch the goal. I mean, it is insanely close, as you can see here. But yeah, rather than getting all 4, you can just go at that one and you can just barely touch the top of the goal. It's insanely hard. It's insanely inconsistent.
Wow.
You'd never do it for runs, but for ILs, that's the way to go.
Wow, that is crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, these kinds of things are all over the game. And it's been a lot of fun because, like I said, there are a few ILers that did it, that got into this stuff as the game came out. And then more recently, I love finding strats, and I mean, that's what kind of ILs obviously are all about, is finding the fastest way to get to the end. And it's been a lot of fun finding all these strats, so it's been really cool. And I'm sure that there's been, I mean, for anyone else that gets into the game, I'm sure there's a lot of other strats that haven't been unearthed yet.
Yeah,
So-
Blicky's come up with a lot of stuff for the any percent and 100% runs, especially the any percent one. And Tier Delta has a couple cool things I don't do in my 100% yet.
Like everyone that's ever played this game has contributed strats, so
Anyone that's
the
ever
window is
played.
there. Literally,
Hey, I picked up some stuff
possible.
from watching blind races of this thing.
that's true. Yeah, same.
Yeah, same actually.
Definitely, yeah.
Wow. GG.
Well,
Well, cool. So if someone were to learn this game, what would you suggest? How would you suggest they go about this?
Play it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
there aren't.
it's a pretty transparent game other than the boss strat, which I have a video on my Twitch where I explain that, and I explained it tonight. But for the rest of it, pretty much, you just need to get used to the controls. It's not none of the stuff I do in a run is individually very hard. So if you want to go ahead and get a 25-minute run, it's just, you can do what I do, and it's not terribly hard if you just want to put some time into it.
Yeah, it's the kind of game, kind of like Mario 64, it's the kind of game where if you drill a level for like 2 hours or whatever, you'll get an okay time. And then, but if you get better just by playing the rest of the game and just getting better at the game as a whole, and then come back to that level, you'll just improve your times, like just by getting better in other levels.
Yeah,
So,
just getting comfortable with the mechanics.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and there's no like attack canceling or crazy glitches or anything that you need to worry about. Like in a lot of games, it's just play it, just execution. That's it. Just learn the controls and you learn how to run it.
Yeah. The only thing you might need is the boss strat video tutorial kind of thing, because that's not straightforward at all. But that's not something to worry about. If you're picking it up, it's not really something to worry about until you're getting like sub 30 any percent times, I would say, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We should link that tutorial, though, if you have a
I'll
link to it.
go ahead and somebody has the link. You don't have. I have. Okay.
Okay. Oh, you mentioned that tutorial for the boss. Are there any other kind of resources available, like wiki page, or does anybody have any explanations of anything?
Not really.
Unfortunately not. And I mean, honestly, even like if it was a more, if there was a more competitive game, I don't know if it would need it. It would just be kind of see what you see. Oh, go ahead.
There is one. There's Nimbus World where you can go look at some ghosts.
Oh, true.
Yeah, you can look at Nimbus World, which Mundungu just linked in the chat, and Blecky, I think, uploads all his ghosts, and he has he's top 10 on every single level.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So you can see what he does on every level there.
Okay,
Yes.
a ghost is like a demo recording, huh?
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly
got
the
it.
same as ghosts in racing games.
Got it.
You can pick up pretty much everything just from watching the run, though, aside from the boss. The ghost will help you, obviously, but the boss and this level that I'm looking right now, 412, is quite a doozy to learn, mainly because of the really precise cannon shots you have to align. So that video may help with people struggling with that level. Basically, every new player struggles with that level, too, so... but yeah, aside from that and the boss, just watch runs, watch ghosts if you need further help. That's it.
I'm sure there's an IRC channel for this.
Yes, in the Speedruns Live IRC, #Nimbus. Simple as that.
Okay.
We are in there, we will help you.
All right.
As we close out this Game of the Week part, there was one last cool little neat thing that Kval, the developer, showed us. PJ, if you want to pull that up. This was kind of an early version of the game. I hope he's okay with me showing it. But it's just a neat little... a really neat thing to see how the game was in its earliest stages. Like this, what you see before you, this is Nimbus. In its earlier stages, and it's just really cool to see something like this.
Yeah, really fast.
And this is 5.2. Like for somebody that's played the game, you can immediately tell that it's 5.2.
Yeah, it's the same design.
Yeah, the lower left is a little different, but besides that, it's the exact same thing.
Yeah, it looks like it doesn't have the coin in the top either, but that's it. It's otherwise recognizably the same.
Hey, I know this stage now.
Yeah, you showed me doing this stage earlier for the 100% discussion.
This is Chinese Nimbus for the NES.
Yes.
Another funny tidbit, and I don't know if it's actually in this video or not. It might have been changed by the time this video is made, but Kval has told us that the walls actually killed you originally. Whether they had spikes or not, just touching a wall kills you.
Wow.
So this game was much harder.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's ideal design.
Because then you don't have to worry about like collision resolution. It's just like, you hit the wall, you're dead. That's it. Must be easier to write. Okay, well, that was pretty neat.
Yeah.
Like, too bad we don't get to actually play that. I mean, I assume you can't get that, beta version.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I should also point out that Mundungu is going to be running this at SGDQ. So if you want to see this game run live, in a higher pressure setting than just like people streaming it, then definitely watch that at SGDQ.
Yeah.
Should be a good time.
Should be good.
And I mean, I don't want to say this, but I'm going to. Kval was considering running it at ESA, which would be pretty much the most fantastic thing ever. But I don't want to build hopes because he's still thinking about it and stuff. But if he did do that, that would be amazing.
Yeah, developer running their own game.
Yeah, that'd be neat. Okay, well, we have sufficiently run over time on Game of the Week section, but that was pretty cool.
It was worth it.
We're going to move straight into records now. We're going to make up all this time.
We're going to fly through this stuff. Don't even worry about it.
This is going to be no problem. So buckle up. Here it comes. All right. Who wants to kick us off here?
Oh,
I'll
I actually
start.
like this game.
Okay, well, go for it.
All right. Bart vs. the Space Mutants by Frankie Snow. He did an any percent run in 21:18. I know. Well, my recent exposure has actually been watching the Mexican runner play it.
Same.
Yeah.
But I see that Frankie Snow's been playing it too. I don't know too much about the game. I just because I think I got to the level 2 when I played it as a kid, and that's about it. But it's a really neat game.
It is neat. It's tough. Like, I eventually beat it when I was a kid, but it took, like, a long time for me to do it. It's a tough game.
Yeah, it is a really tough game.
Right.
You have
And
to do
I'd like-
something silly in every stage, like paint all the purple stuff, or
Yeah.
collect
Or the
hats.
orange stuff purple or purple stuff orange or something.
Yeah.
Or you
And I
collect
was-
hats.
One of my favorite things was actually watching, or as I playing it as a kid, was the whole X-ray thing and like bouncing on aliens' heads. But I guess you don't need to do that in a run. So.
I guess not.
If you can do it, you have to do it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so this anyway, this 21:18 was like a 4-second improvement over what Mexican Runner had.
Mhm.
But then when I told him about it today, Mexican Runner went back and he spent like about an hour doing attempts, and he was able to tie this time. So now we have
Really?
2 people with a 21:18. But technically, the reason we're showing this one is technically this run is about half a second faster, or a fraction of a second faster. But basically, they're tied if you round to the nearest second. So, but both of these guys have like if you just take the time they lost on their splits compared to their previous runs, are more like 20 to 30 seconds, worth of leeway. So, I mean, it's not like it's, Ninja Gaiden tied. It's like tied, but with massive improvements from either runner, easily possible at any moment. So by next week, expect that, this will probably get overturned.
Yeah.
All right. Let me see. So the next one we got here is Batman. I don't think anyone knows anything about this game. Maybe we should skip it and not say anything.
Yeah, I've never heard of this before.
What is this game? Wait, just kidding. I have heard of this. Now this sounds familiar. Okay,
Wait,
this
it's
is
coming
Batman
back.
for the NES. I think it's coming back. So this is a 1024 by Dexter, and this is, I guess, technically tied with Funk Doc, but according to Dexter's measurements that he, did from his recordings, possibly a little bit faster by a fraction of a second is what we.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit faster. I actually watched Dexter do this run. I was watching the stream when he got it. It's great.
Yeah, he's
And
been
he
working
said-
on this relentlessly for ages.
Yeah, man, I'm surprised that we're still at this point where, Funk Doc and Dexter are, still this close. Because for a while, there was all that competition, and then Funk Doc got that run that just was, considerably better than Dexter's best, and then he, didn't do it for a while, and now here we are again. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that the Batman hype hasn't died off.
Yeah, I don't think Funk Doc has any intentions of playing this game again. Going for attempts.
He's certainly pretty busy lately,
Yeah.
so I don't know if it's
I
going to
think
happen
he's leaving
anytime
it to
soon.
Dexter, and I think Cypher was going to be interested in running this too at some point, but we'll see where that goes.
Okay.
Alright, so up next we have a pair of records that are really interesting. Battletoads has been getting a lot of attention lately, and the Mexican runner improved the Warpless run down to a 26:27, and JC brought the any percent down to a 14:23, which is like a 2-minute improvement on both of those records. And the reason it's a 2-minute improvement is because they found a turbo tunnel skip. And the skip's been around for a really long time. The Zlomis was looking into it in detail last year, I think it was. But I'm not really sure how they're doing it because from when the Zlomis and I tested it, it wasn't possible to do in real time. It required some left plus right or some 30 hertz wiggles or whatnot, but they apparently found a way to get it to work on console, which is spectacular. But basically the way it works is you get into the, the turbo tunnel bike, but instead of hitting the first checkpoint, you die. And the game, it respawns you differently based on, if you're in the turbo tunnel actual racing part, when you die, you start at the start of a checkpoint. But when you're in the rest of the stage, when you die, you respawn where you are. And since you're somewhere between there, if you die before you hit the checkpoint, the game really freaks out. And some bad stuff happens. And you can get it to call the level exit. You can get it to call basically any event in the game, including level end, or including game end. And it, like, stores all these memory addresses, which are terrible. And I did this, like, 2 years ago a different way, and that's how I was able to get the 0-second run. So it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of category this is, because the turbo tunnel skip can be used to skip a lot more than one stage. But I'm going to have to look into this and give it a try, see how it goes. It's definitely really interesting that they're both able to do it. It makes running Battletoads a lot more appealing, because there's, I don't think, any auto-scroller in the any % now. So...
Yeah, it's funny. The turbo tunnel is probably one of those infamously difficult things that kept people from getting very far in the game. But as far as the speedrun goes, it's just like, oh my god, I gotta sit through this again. I'm not gonna die. It's just a matter of wasting my time getting through. Yeah. So it's just kind of always one of those ironic things. But that's cool to see that, now it may not be part of the run anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, definitely gets me interested in maybe playing this again. So, we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah. Okay, what do we have next here? Oh my goodness. This is a game that I think that I remember called Bionic Commando for the NES. So, actually, technically, this is the Japanese version of Bionic Commando, so it is Hitler no Fuhatsu Top Secret, which is the top secret resurrection of Hitler, something like that. Huh. But anyway, so this is the any % run in 1532. So now there's a couple things by How to Ruby, of course.
Of course, yeah.
Of course. So this is about, okay, there's differences between the Japanese and the US version. I've had a bunch of questions about this over the last week. Text differences are really big in this. And so this is about a minute and a half faster than my 1703 or something like that, somewhere close to 17 minutes. But of that minute and a half, about 30 seconds of it is going to be text differences. Another, let me see, 30-ish, 20-something to 30 seconds is from these new elevator skips, which were just recently found, which he does in this, which weren't known back when I was working on it. And all the rest of it is execution, so there's about 30, 35 seconds worth of just doing the levels better, just straight up better. The Japanese version is different in very subtle ways. There's lots of little differences about enemies placed certain ways or platforms placed certain ways in Japanese that aren't in the US version. But it doesn't really make a huge difference in terms of a speed run. Maybe like a second or two at most throughout the course of the game. But one of the big things that's different is the trucks in the overworld. When you move from one location to another with your helicopter, there's a little message that says, okay, we'll move. And the trucks start moving at the beginning of that message. Your helicopter starts moving at the end of your message. So when the text takes less time to display, it means that the trucks get more, or get less lead time than your helicopter. So that changes the whole pattern of the way you do the overworld. And so the US version has to rely on, here you're watching the platform skip right now, which is pretty slick. So in the US version, there's a place where you just barely miss a truck by like one frame. And, in the Japanese version, you don't even have to worry about that. But in the US version, you have to go halfway through your run and you have like basically a 50% chance of having to reset. At least 50% chance of having to reset.
Great.
Just from getting the bad truck luck. So it's a lot easier to get a good run on the Japanese version than the US version. And in fact, I may even try that if I, go back to running this game again, switching to Japanese, because it's just so much less frustrating to not have to just reset at random for something that's mostly beyond your control.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, that'd be pretty neat.
Yeah. But anyway, so definitely watch this run. How to Ruby obviously really good. And, Bionic Commando is one of those games, real high skill cap, where the better you are, just the more insane the things you can do are. But the thing about this run is it actually has a bunch of pretty obvious mistakes in it, which is something I'm not used to seeing in How to Ruby runs. But there's just serious errors where, he just gets hit by something. Kill. Yeah. Well, no, the first, I don't think you can kill him. I don't know what he was trying to do, but I don't think you can kill him on the first cycle. Although usually it would make sense to do a little damage to him. A task can, sure, but I don't know that he was even trying to. I think he was just waiting for the full cycle to go by so he could do it on the second.
Okay.
Yeah. But there's other little things like him just missing grapples or getting hit by stuff. So I imagine you'll see another run from him soon, because I doubt he's going to let, those kind of mistakes stand.
Yeah.
Anyway, good run. Definitely watch it.
Yeah, really good run.
All right. So what do we have? Next is Blaster Master. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Does anyone want to talk about Blaster Master? Or should I?
Go for it,
It's all
Diesel.
you.
All right.
It looks like it's you, yeah.
I actually didn't see this run, but I enjoy Blaster Master in general. So this is a 3849 any percent deathless by Uranium Anchor. So this is where he is not using death warps to get around to save time. And let me see. I don't remember what his previous time is, but he has a highlight here. He says,
I don't know if this
finished.
highlight has gameplay or not.
Hopefully it doesn't, because this is the best part of the game. Let's go, Fred. Okay, so what he says, I finished this run half an hour before the TSSB pre-show started last week, so it was too late to squeeze in. And it gives Gilder another chance to make another awesome highlight reel, which I guess what you're watching now. For a little while, I thought sub 39 might not be realistic, and then this happened. I was worried I might be premature in considering this a completed run, but when I went over the video afterwards, I found very few mistakes. There's definitely a few, including at least 3 that's never happened before moments, but the execution was really good overall, seeing 3 new split records, and I got really good luck in a few spots where it mattered, notably the penultimate boss giving me an insanely good pattern that was almost as fast as the current paths.
Jeez.
Yeah. I think I can officially say I'm done with the NTSC version of this game unless there's a new trick or significant route change discovered, or unless someone beats the record. He also says, if anyone feels like providing me with the necessary console and cart to do a PAL run, I'll gladly do that. But he's not going to invest in the hardware on its own.
Yeah, I don't blame him. Yeah, the PAL version has some really neat skips and zips and whatnot. You can beat it in like 10 minutes or something silly. Cool. Well, good job. Good job, UA. I always like to see Blaster Master from him.
Oh, of course. I want to see other people playing it too. Not that I don't want UA to keep dominating Blaster Master, but I always like to see competition in the NES games that I like. So, maybe someone will pick up the mantle at some point.
Yep. Alright, so up next is a game that definitely one of our guests would know about.
I've seen somebody play this game before. I guess that means it's mine.
Yeah,
There you go. That's more
sounds like
qualified.
I can spell the title? Is that...
Celestial Mechanica for the PC. It's any percent death abuse category in 11 minutes and 30 seconds by Sog3 King. And the comments here say, this run is actually really bad. Just found a new skip, one that he used in the run and the other he failed. And the Japanese text is really fast. This can actually be bumped all the way down to about 10 minutes and 20 seconds after watching his run, if his criticism is correct. And as for death abuse, there's only about 8 deaths.
Only about 8... Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I understand.
Assuming intentional, because he says death abuse, not just... That.
Yeah, assuming at least some of those are intentional.
Yes, this run is actually really bad. It's a comment. We should just leave that in the spreadsheet, notes column, because half the people who give us runs are like, oh, this run's terrible, but here you go.
There's another column that says, is this run bad? Yes. No.
It doesn't even have a no option. It doesn't even have a no option.
Yeah. Alright. Up next, we've got Chrono Trigger by Obda. Obda Jr., even. This is the English any percent RTA in 3, 40, 55. This is a pretty neat category because he does some silly boss skips, and I think some of them require some weird saving in places you're not supposed to, and reloading, and then the boss isn't there, or pausing every once in a while, pausing opening the menu while you're running, and it just skips the trigger or something. I really have no idea how they work, but yeah, it's pretty neat to watch because he skips a bunch of stuff that you're not supposed to be able to. It's pretty entertaining.
I like his notes. All he says in his notes is, I'll beat this time later this week.
Yeah, yeah,
no big
without
deal.
fail. Those are the comments we hate, because it's do we make anything for this, or is there going to be a submission on Sunday?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this is why you want to wait till the last minute.
Right. Yeah. So
Okay.
sticking with RPGs, Puexel was working on Final Fantasy VII and got an 8/20/14 single segment, no slots, so he doesn't use the instant kill with the slots on the bosses. He says here, no slots means no manipulating Kate Sith's slots limit break to win any battle in the game in one turn, including the final boss. Most Japanese FF7 runners use slots, and most Western runners don't. This is a 45-minute improvement over his previous PB, and 4 minutes faster than the Japanese no slots record after converting to English text. Largely thanks to manipulating random battles by walking in special patterns. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
A better route that no longer requires stealing rare items, which is always good. And a glitch that skips an entire dungeon late in the game. Still working on this and currently aiming for an 810 to 815 for SDA submission.
Wow,
That's
well,
mad good.
Yeah, and it's also neat that he's really making a big deal about that like 5 or 10 minutes in an over 8-hour run. So
Yeah,
that's
seriously. Cool. After having just cut 45 minutes off.
Right.
That's really impressive.
Cool.
Good stuff.
All right, what do we have next on here? I've completely lost my place.
I'm positive one of our guests must know about this game.
Okay, yeah, good call.
I'm on Glover, so Boney's got this one.
Oh, I wanted Glover, you ninja.
Spoiler alert.
I should have called it. Alright, well, I have totally seen this game before. This is by Zastbat. It is on the PS1. This is any percent category. You got a 26-17. He says, I am done with this game for now. Since I got the boss look I wanted, gonna move back to working on Afro Samurai or Future Cop LAPD.
Oh, yes.
It seems like.
Wow.
DJ is happy.
What a life this guy leads. Ghost in the Shell, Afro Samurai, Future Cop, LAPD.
Yeah.
It's a good theme of games he likes, that's for sure. It seems like after AGDQ, no one bothered to pick those games up, so he's going after those. So he's in a vehicle that looks really strange. I'm not sure what I think about this.
It looks like one of those Roombas that has a gun attached to it.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so that's Ghost in the Shell. I mean, you mostly just, you're driving a tank around shooting things most of the time.
Sounds like a good game.
Cool, alright. And what do we have next is the game that everyone wants to talk about. So why don't I just step back so I don't get trampled?
Alright, as I push everyone out of my way. Glover has a special place in my heart because I played it for about 5 minutes at Cypher's house. I used to always want to play it really badly because it looked good, and then I played it and it wasn't good. But here we are with Chris Boodle's run. He did any percent in 44 minutes and 19 seconds. But all that aside, I'm sure it's a halfway decent game. So congratulations to Chris Boodle for that.
I had the same exact experience you did, except I got it out of the way 20 years ago. It's like, this game looks great. Well, I'll get it. Oh, no.
Yeah, it was hard for me because it looked great, but I didn't get it. So I had, however many years of wishing to play it, and then I finally did, and all those years of wishing turned out to be totally shot down in pieces.
Yeah, it just accrued interest, so you really wanted to play it.
Right, literal interest.
Yeah, clever. Quite a game. All right. Up next, we've got a lot of PC games, which means none of these are mine. But we have 3 PC runners as guests.
Absolutely.
So, take them away.
Not all at once.
I guess I'll grab this one.
Okay.
So this is Gothic, any percent by Blubler in 20 minutes and 11 seconds, or 18 minutes and 43 seconds if you don't count loading times. So he says it's the classic tale of a Western RPG being completely broken. This run had 2 big mistakes, which together cost about 50 seconds. If it weren't for them, I'd be content with it. It would be great if there was some competition for this game. And it looks pretty broken to me. So I think he's completely right in that comment.
This game looks fine.
I've heard of this, but I've never played this game.
Well, that's how I fly, by knocking my fists up in the air. That's
some of the best arm flailing I've ever seen in my life.
That's how I run, in hopes that I'll fly.
Does it work?
No, not yet.
He's pretty wobbly armed in general when he's running. It's kind of funny.
Wow.
Isn't that the way, like, in that Hockey Simpsons episode when Bart and Lisa were, like, wailing at each other and saying, I'm just gonna
go
punch
like
my arms
this.
like this and close my eyes. Like, that's the way they were hitting each other.
That's right, and if any walls get in the way, it's not my fault. Huh.
Wow, this is something special. I just can't get over that jump animation.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
So it looks like he did something magical by that gate and then was suddenly not on that side anymore.
I'm just going to create a bunch of lag next to this barricade and see what happens.
Don't mind me. Doop, doop, doop.
If any barricades get skipped, it's not my fault.
That was a serious spike trap. Holy smokes.
Definitely waiting for that spike trap to do something.
Wow, that is a shame. That is a shame. Poor guy. Didn't even have a chance. Well, there's Gothic. Should be no more questions about that. I think that summarizes everything there. Alright, we've got GTA 3 by Oasis in 121.38. This is any percent category. I have still yet to play any GTA game.
Not even the first one?
Nope, not any of them.
Interesting.
Yeah. In fact, when this started playing, I thought there was another Pilotwings 64 submission, and I was going to be really happy.
There's actually a really long plane section, but it doesn't. Well, I mean, it's not really long, but it seems kind of long for a highlight. So this is definitely the best part of it is crashing the plane into a cliff and then getting out and hopping into a car.
Yeah.
This is what this game's all about.
Yeah, I think so.
And just watch this mission. This is a great mission. Run over a bunch of people. Mission succeeded.
Yeah, I watch Adam AK play whatever GTA it is that he plays, and I still just don't really understand. But yeah, cool. Good job, Oasis, I think. Even though I'm pretty sure up here you said that this run sucks. We didn't mark it in the "Is this run bad" column, so we dropped the ball there. Oh wait, he even has a big comment here. Alright, I'll blow through this real quick. Finally, when I was really pissed at the game and decided to do a final no restart run for the crowd, the planets aligned. The 15:30 Portland run reaching the end is something I have been trying for months. Unfortunately, a 2 to 3 second mistake costing me about 40 seconds a bit later on, if not more. Otherwise, a really hard run to beat, as even the worst kind of shit turned into pure gold for absolutely no reason, just like in the highlight. Almost as if to mock me about the small time loss that cost me a submittable run. There you go.
Well, high standards, that's how it goes.
Yep.
Alright. Well, speaking of Grand Theft Auto, we have more of it. This is Grand Theft Auto, The Ballad of Gay Tony. An any percent run in 2:19:31 by Possessed Warrior. He has comments, I think. Yes. He says, this run was about 24 minutes faster than the time I submitted last week. Sub 2:15, that's 4 minutes faster than what he's got now, is certainly possible without any changes to the route, but there are a few that I want to make. Over last week's time, this run benefits from strats pulled from the segmented run for going deep and departure time. Some improved driving routes and much better overall gameplay. And I enjoyed watching this helicopter wreck stuff. That was kind of neat. Mm-hmm. But I have never played this game, so I actually don't know. I can't really say much about it.
This reminds me of that final Pilotwings mission in the SNES version.
Well, everything looks like Pilotwings today, doesn't it?
Everything is Pilotwings. If you guys haven't gotten it yet, if you submit a Pilotwings run to us, it's going to have the longest highlight in history.
Cancel the schedule. this Pilot League episode.
Right, yeah, impromptu game of the week change.
Right.
I like that the parking garage is actually part of this game. Oh wait, they're crouching. It's about to get
What's
serious.
happening? Uh-oh, something's about to happen.
Hope it's a car bomb in that red one. Death abuse takes a serious
Wait
turn.
for it. Oh, there it comes.
Did he submit these timestamps?
Yes.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, that's a shame.
That's gonna hurt. Oh, and there it goes.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I'm going to assume that's a lot faster than the way you normally do that, but I have no idea because I've never played that game. Speaking with games I've never played, have any of our guests played the Half-Life series?
Absolutely, all three of us.
Good.
Oh, I haven't played them at all.
Then all three of you are going to take the next three.
Alright, well, the next two are the same comment apparently, so I guess you can get both of those. Alright, so we have a series of Half-Life 2 runs on the PC, one by S on any % old engine, while Sully JHF did new engine. And Sully is referring us to the comments that S made. This is going to take a little bit, but it should cover both runs. This run was, well, my W split kept going from -20 to +20 and back throughout the entire run. Nice consistency. Until the very end, where I lost 1 minute due to what I like to call a consistent game crash. Sounds like Nimbus. A game crash that always occurs at the same part of the game and is avoidable by doing something specific. However, because my last run had a bad last map, I regained all the time and beat the previous world record. So now you wonder, what does this category mean? Old engine, new engine, all of that fancy stuff.
I was one.
Allow me to explain. In the original release of this game, there were many glitches, the biggest two being forward, bunny hop, and prop flying. Forward bunny hopping is fast, but it's not really anything special. Prop flying is useful to skip stuff. Provided you have the right prop, you can cross great distances easily, gain height quickly, and you're even able to make turns midair. So it's both fast and agile. Then there's the small stuff. Hit buttons through walls, pistol charging, and other minor glitches. Then this day in 2009 came. Half-Life 2 was released for Mac, and to celebrate, Valve updated the engine to the latest version, or the Orange Box engine, which was used to run Half-Life 2 Episode 2 and Portal, which means that Half-Life 2 will now make use of fancy graphical stuff, HDR, shadows on your flashlight, etc. It also fixed the glitches, bunny hopping, prop flying, that stuff. However, it brought something much worse, accelerated back hopping, or ABH as they call it. So you might know this from Portal. Accelerated back hopping is like 5 times as fast as forward bunny hopping. And if you hit a slope with that speed, it acts as a ramp, launching you into the air, so it even competes with prop flying. As for prop flying itself, it still works, but it is slower, harder, and a lot less agile. So this ABH makes that the new engine is potentially faster than the old engine, so why isn't it? Because it is much harder and much more random. You can't see where you're going for a reason, but much more importantly, it is hard to control. Going at speeds like that, 11 times normal sprinting speed apparently, you will crash into stuff like buildings, walls, trees, and random slopes that launch you into the air, which kills you apparently. Those same launches can be abused to save time, but there are 2 problems. Getting them is kind of random.
This comment is ridiculously long.
I know, we're almost done.
We're just going to paste this into the chat.
Alright, sounds good.
And if you want to read more about this, you can read on.
We're about 3/4 of the way through, so look down and I'm sure you can finish it off.
All right. Well, that's good. At least that explains why we had this old and new engine thing. And
yeah,
that's good.
It's really nice history.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's not the end of Half-Life. S has improved. I think it was his own Half-Life 2 Episode 2, No Scripts run. His new time is something that I just moved away from. There we are. The new time is 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 51 seconds.
Okay.
S is always nice enough to give us videos.
Yeah.
And they're always something ridiculous that I don't understand. Oh my goodness. Whenever something with this engine, like, whenever the character's carrying something, I get terrified. He's carrying something and he has an explosive. You know something awful is gonna happen.
Into the sky he goes. Oh my god.
Okay.
Makes perfect sense.
Huh.
Maybe he was wiggling his arms, flailing his arms around.
Well,
That makes you feel right.
that's, yep, alright. Well. That was pretty ridiculous. Thanks for that, S. I think he's got a comment here. Oh, he sure does. Special thanks go to Sully, Tom SK, Azare, and Kolfra for doing Half-Life 2 new engine speedruns, discovering new stuff that I could then apply to this game. Scriptless is finally a fun category because you don't have to sit through that 30-minute skippable part anymore. Special thanks to Azare because he found a semi-consistent way to skip it. With all these new skips, I myself will redo episode 2, but this time scriptless. I'm done with scripted anyway, it's not fun anymore. Too much shit and stuff. Along with that, I started learning the most painful game of all. I get it. The most painful game of them all. Half-Life 2 Episode 1. So expect that too in a few weeks. As for this particular run, had some deaths that came with the two new tricks. The two tricks saving 30 and 5 minutes. Wow. 30 minutes. Alright, thinking sub 1 hour real time would be too ambitious, but I'm probably going to try anyway. Just when I thought I finally narrowed down the games I run. Shifty eye face. Good stuff, S. That looks pretty ridiculous.
Yes, indeed.
Alright.
Oh, man, I haven't been doing a good job of posting these runs in the chat. Why don't I post it so you guys can see it too? Good thinking. Alright. So let's move on. What do we have? Oh, my
Blackie
goodness.
told me he wanted to talk about this one.
Oh,
Yeah,
I was just about to suggest that. It's his favorite game.
It's literally my least favorite game, but
Yeah.
I will proceed with reading it.
Mine
No,
also.
So this is I Want to Be the Guy for PC. You know it, I know it. It's 90% hard with warps. 10 shots today in 1834. His notes here are, no doo-doo butter here, keep 'em loaded.
Alright, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
No doo-doo butter here. Must have missed
I
that.
would comment further on this game, but I don't want to.
I've
Yeah.
never played it because I'm pretty sure I would hate it.
This
Yeah,
game is
I don't
pretty
like this
terrible.
game.
If you can memorize a lot of stuff, then you are good at this game. Let's say that.
And if you hate fun.
I like that summary better.
Yeah, I don't know. I know there's some really silly stuff, like invincibility glitches. Like something, like if you reload the same time you die or something silly like that, you're invincible, and there's a massive game over text that permanently blocks the entire screen. I don't know what with warps means. I'm sure there's some other skip that they found.
It means you get to play less of this game.
Yeah, that's all that
Definitely the
matters,
better
really.
category.
This game's pretty poorly programmed, because I don't think it was ever intended to be fun, or a game. So they just kind of made it as difficult as they could without including gameplay. So, I don't know, I'm sure there's some sort of unintended warp that skips a whole bunch of stuff, but... Yep, I wouldn't be able to tell you what it was.
It's always weird to me just seeing all the different games that they draw from. It's like, oh, I recognize that tile set from this game.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, good job regardless, 10 shots. We hate the game, but I'm sure the run is good.
Yeah. All right. Coming up next here, we have... Oh, this game I don't know anything about, so I shouldn't have said anything.
Oh.
All right, well, we have Mad World for the... This is the Wii U, right? Or is this Wii?
It's just Wii.
It's just regular Wii, okay. And any percent run in 2:34:31 by Laserlong. And he's got a brief comment here. He said, Mad World is a stylized beat-em-up Wii game by Platinum Games that works on a point system. This makes routing interesting because instead of just killing enemies, you have to use the highest scoring combos to progress to bosses to complete the game. The current time for Mad World is decent, but it's very possible to go for sub 2:30 if boss manipulation is done correctly on Black Baron and Yokozuna. So that's interesting. So it's not even just a matter of killing the guys as quickly as possible. You want to sort of be point leeching, kill them the way it's going to give you the most points. Interesting.
Yeah. That's pretty neat.
90% memorization.
Alright, one of our guests has taken this one for sure.
I want to steal it because I played Marvel Land in a blind race.
I knew that one of you must have blind raced this. It
Per
just
Nest Kamikaze's suggestion.
yeah.
I don't know what digest any percent means, but it's
Well, you're
some
gonna
kind of
pretend
any
you do.
So in my adventure of this game, I was, it starts out with decent platforming. Well, decent is being a little optimistic, but it starts out with platforming of some nature. And then you get to a boss and you're playing rock, paper, scissors. You beat that world, you go to the next boss and you're like playing whack-a-mole or something. So boss fights are these wacky-ass stages, which it looks like the runner has kind of written about in his run. So it's a digest any percent by Therio in 3:53 and 59 hundredths of a second. So just about 3:54. His notes are, Marvel Land is a really stupid platformer. Oh, that checks out with my research. That nobody but me runs, and Nest Kamikaze sometimes, when he's feeling suicidal, I guess. Which has some really great platforming, the stupidest boss fights, check, in the history of boss fights, including but not limited to rock, paper, scissors. This run in particular focuses on a sequence of warps that takes you from 1-1 to 4-6 with 3 warps, resulting in a time that is sub 4 minutes. The warp in 1-1 has a very specific timing to it, resulting on over 1,000 resets on 1-1 alone. The RNG was nice to me this run, assumedly rock, paper, scissors RNG.
What are you talking about? That's all skill.
The last 2 boss fights, moving platforms on stage 1, are RNG and fucked me over. However, just like my normal difficulty run, I choked out on whack-a-mole again. I just want to say to Nest Kamikaze, please do not beat this time. If you do, I will have to force myself through the torture of this garbage again. Can't blame you.
Yeah,
well
there's
done
a game
Therio.
that Nest Kamikaze doesn't want to play.
This doesn't even seem like his time. Well, I don't know. It's a platformer, which he likes, but it's one weird-ass platformer.
Yeah. Alright. Bam. Page 5.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. Mystical Ninja starring Goemon. This is by PYKN, Piken, maybe? In an hour 25:43, any percent. I believe this is J version.
That's what it says.
So he says here, this run took some time to get, but I'm very happy with it. While it isn't perfect and most certainly improvable, improving it would prove challenging as this game is very difficult to play at a high level. This game utilizes 2 main glitches, mini Ibizumaru slides and the map glitch. Chain pipe skip is an extremely difficult trick which you accomplish by manipulating an enemy into damage boosting you up a ledge. This trick is super finicky and does not like to work correctly, but luckily I was able to get it first try. Gourmet Submarine Castle went almost literally perfect. What a name, wow. I got the only slide first try and was able to get the chopstick walk, which is a ridiculously difficult part where you have to run on what seems like a pixel-wide chopstick 2 times in a row while hopping in and out of giant balls of udon and destroying foxes shooting fire at you. It ain't easy. Finally, my something I can't pronounce was almost nearly perfect. I dropped my infinite combo once, but immediately picked it back up and wrecked his shit. The lowlights of this run would probably be the Ghost Toys Billiards Room, Festival Temple Fish Room, and falling in the Musical Castle 2 Rotating Room. Overall, I'm happy with this run. I'm going to focus on improving the 100% record before heading back to this. Also, the pure hype generated by both the Impact cutscene and the musical at the end of the game, Gorgeous My Stage, during a world record run is absolutely unrivaled. Well, I'm convinced now that that game has some of the greatest trick names and or stage names. It's pretty impressive. Gourmet Submarine Castle is going to be tough to top. Alright. Moving on, we have an NES game, so Fiesel's got it.
So I've got it. Okay, sure. I have not played this, but what the heck? This is NES Open Tournament Golf. This is, let me see. I actually don't know if I think this is probably the US version, because I think that's what Sven runs this stuff on. But this is, $13.49 for the US course by Sven. And, I've seen this game briefly, but I really don't know much about it. Like, I don't know. I think you're just basically playing the game the way you're supposed to be.
Is this the golf game where... No, that's just straight up golf.
That's
where,
just...
like, Mario is just, like, a dude that isn't our modern...
Yeah, this is the sequel
Exactly.
to that game.
The sequel?
Sure. Yeah.
I see.
I imagine this is an interesting run because the wind changes. Like, the wind is basically random in every hole, so you'd have to, like, know exactly where to aim for every single wind power, I guess, and in which direction. It's probably kind of interesting.
That's true. I guess you could see that. Because otherwise, it's like, well, you just memorize where to aim and you memorize how much power to give it,
Yeah.
and you're going to get the same results every time. But I guess with the wind, that is going to be hard to control.
There needs to be more mini-golf games, because besides, like, Kirby's Dream Course, I think that's an untapped market. I mean, you got, like, Zany Golf or whatever, but that doesn't count.
Huh. It's true. I'm surprised there's not like a Wii mini golf. It seems like an obvious thing to do with motion control.
Right.
There's... In Wii Sports, I think there's golf. Anyways, we digress. We have a game that Fiesel has almost played, I think.
I've almost played.
You've almost played it. You played it for the almost console that this was on.
Got it. Yes. If the step right before having played it is having not played it, then I have almost played this game.
Right, exactly.
So this is it's a run of New Super Mario Bros. U for the Wii U, and it is a 100% run in 341.08 by eWaller. So that's pretty awesome. Congrats. 100% run, if I'm not mistaken, is you do all the exits and you collect all the coins. Are those the two criteria, or is there more to it than that?
I think so.
I have no idea.
That's it. Okay.
I think so.
Okay, but anyway, there you go. That's 100% run of the game.
Mm-hmm. So one of the big things this week, I think, was this Ninja Gaiden run that came out of nowhere. So this Japanese runner Ohon, maybe, got a run that's 11:51 by RTA timing. Just for comparison, Exo's, I think, is an 11:53 by the same timing. There is a lot of speculation on whether or not this was legit or not, but Exo himself thinks that it's legit, and he thinks that it is faster than his.
If Exo is okay with it, then
so that's enough for me.
him.
Basically, the biggest find, I think it was the Stage 3 boss. I might be making that up, but there's a new quick kill that he found that's 3 seconds faster than what Exo was using. So that's where the biggest time came from. Exo said, I think it can be improved by like 2 or 3 seconds. I mean,
there's some minor, like, there's no real mistakes that are like, oh, okay, well, he got hit by that guy, so obviously he could have done that better. It's all just like, this could have been a few frames, that could have been a few frames. There's, like, small things.
Yeah. His sword climbing, Exo was saying, was, like, frame perfect.
Yeah.
Which is like jumping off the wall and swinging the sword and then moving backwards back on the wall. Right? Is that the game with this? think
do
so.
you need to sword slash to climb?
I think so.
Do we even have a sword in this game?
There's no sword. What are you talking about? There's not even any ninjas in this game.
Sorry, I meant backdash.
Oh, backdash. That's right. I don't think you need to sword slash to do the climbing. I think you just have to like jump off the ladders and back onto them.
I thought there was some sort of.
Or are you
sword
thinking
climb
of
in this
2?
one. I know it is in 2. I thought there was one in this too.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember. But
Yeah.
anyways,
Anyway, there
it's
you
a
go.
mad good run. EXO's not going to come back to it for a really long time, so. Yep, we probably won't see this game for a while. But that's really impressive. Yep. Alright, great.
Alright, looks like next up is some game that I've played called Out There Somewhere on the PC. And this run was 10 minutes and 35 seconds. And basically there's a couple big things that I improved on over what Surfaced's run last week had. This is the big one here, first clip, which is you can skip a basement entrance to the city and just jump off this ledge and land on top of that platform. And that saves about 40 seconds or something. And then I also had a slightly better method for the last boss fight, which was usually about 20 seconds faster. But Surface said his boss fight wasn't so great either, so I don't know. But those are the big changes. There's still some improvements. I messed up a couple rooms in here. So certainly you can go ahead and beat this run, but it was a little distraction this week from Nimbus. So I had fun with it.
I'm glad you gave them permission. You can go ahead and beat this run.
This game looks really cool.
Yeah,
This boss fight actually isn't easy. This clip lies. Because you can just randomly die if he does some things that hit you over there.
Way to go,
Lies.
Killer
Called
Sneeze.
out.
Way to go.
I don't know a good way to deal with that. But this is as far as I know, this is the fastest way I came up with to beat this boss. It actually Surface did the same thing. So if he hits me, I just die and the run's over.
Nice.
Well, I mean, you can keep going, but it loses 20 seconds or something.
This fight is not easy. You liar.
Well, I guess it's kind of easy. It's easy in the sense that you don't do anything, but it's hard in the sense that you can just sometimes randomly die.
Doesn't
Speaking
make
of
it hard. That
sometimes
makes it a
randomly
dick.
dying.
Okay.
This is a good example of writing to the developers of the games. So, I mean, you could just pop open an email and just write "you liar" to the developer, and maybe
Yep.
they'll come and race this game with you.
Well, that text is not actually in the original game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
We'll still
Gilder
hold them
Sneeze,
responsible for it anyway.
Gilder Sneeze added that.
Yes.
Yeah. Alright, so Pac-Man World 2 has a new run by C13. It's 4732 now. This is the any percent. Pac-Man World 2 is that one that's like Crash Bandicoot meets Sonic meets Out of Bounds through the lava.
It's a good description.
He says here, this was an intense run. No bad deaths. When I defeated Pinky, I was a mere 42 seconds ahead from my previous world record, which is my biggest lead ever. I knew I could not screw this up and I got a little anxious. I did miss a jump in Clyde Boss, which would have me waste at least 20 seconds. I just didn't want to take a chance at such a good lead, and I almost failed my Mega Whale strat, only to get a clutch strat near the end. That itself was intense. And then I got really anxious up to the point where I beat Spooky. I was really happy I got this time, so it all worked out. I always get a kick out of watching that run, because it's a pretty silly game. So, well done, C13. Oh boy, Pokemon. One of the blind racers has gotta know. Gotta know about Pokemon.
I know a little bit about Pokemon, but not Pokemon Gold. But I guess I'll take it anyway. So this is Pokemon Gold by Superman or 5-Up-A-Man, whichever one you want to call him. And it's in 3 hours and 24 minutes game time. I have no idea what the previous record was or what the
3:29 by Worcester.
Yeah, my guess was it was Worcester.
5 minutes is really big though. That's crazy.
If you beat one of Worcester's runs by 5 minutes, then that seems like a pretty good improvement to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to agree.
He has some pretty serious runs. Yeah, so that looks like there's no other comments here, so I don't know a lot else to say.
Well, then
You can just
you
move
said
on
no.
to the next one.
Move on to the next one. Oh, more Pokemon for
Yeah,
everybody.
if you're looking for
Excellent.
more comments, here it is.
Okay, well, here's some more comments. This is Pokemon Heart Gold by Chubfish in 4 hours, 24 minutes, and 39 seconds, which is 4 hours and 20 minutes game time. So he managed to improve his old run by 8 minutes by doing slightly newer strats and getting much better luck than before. Wow, who could have guessed? Better luck saves time in Pokemon?
I never would have guessed.
Oh,
Most of the time save comes from not hitting as many spinners, Worcester's favorite things. And gym leader fights going very well as better movement. Tried something slightly different on the red fight at the end, and that was buffing up Snorlax with X items and proceeding to sweep most of the team with just him. Wow, X items in a Pokemon game?
Yeah.
That's revolutionary. Worked very much in my favor and ended up saving 3 minutes over what I would normally do, and it also used an immunity Snorlax again, which is a bad ability to have, but it seemed to work regardless. Trash cans in Surge's gym also gave me good RNG as I managed to get the second try as opposed to third try. And I didn't talk to the trainer, which was my most hated mistake in my whole run. There are still areas that could have been improved, such as the Lance fight, because I got horrible RNG there and Typhlosion died twice, as well as getting a lot of encounters early on, probably adding up to a total of 4 minutes lost. Overall, however, I'm very happy with the way this run turned out. Since it is hard to get a much cleaner run, I didn't expect to beat my old run so quickly, but I did, so here's another submission.
Cool. I think it's interesting to use Typhlosion and Snorlax. That's pretty strange for a Pokemon game. The Fire Starter. And Snorlax. That's pretty cool. Sounds like this one might actually be somewhat different than the others, but probably not. Alright, cool. Has anybody played Portal 2? Someone must have.
Sure. I've played it enough. So Portal 2 is next. On PC, of course. There's any percent single segment without loads, and the prize winner is Xernicus with 1:08:17. He writes, an 85-second improvement over my previous world record. I can't imagine beating this time anytime soon, but I will try to get 1:07:XX simply because I know it is possible. I saved time nearly everywhere I knew I could save considerable time, and saved time in places I didn't even know I could. There were only 3 medium or big time losses in the entire run, totaling 45 total seconds lost. One of them was entirely not my fault. The game just screwed me, basically. Well done to him. I actually really did like this. I played this game as co-op, and it was one of the best FPS experiences I've had, I think. It's a great
Really?
co-op run. I'm not too familiar with the single player, but the co-op is wonderful.
Yeah, we haven't seen a submission from the co-op in a long time. It was going strong for a while. I guess it just kind of fizzled out. You hear us, Zbaz? We're disappointed in you. Alright, well, up next we've got a really interesting game title.
Well, I've got this one. This is Reset Tier and Item Shop's Tale for PC. And this is an any percent run in 1 hour, 56 minutes, and 50 seconds by Railcoon. So I actually thought about speedrunning this game for a little while, and then I realized what it would actually entail, and it seemed really boring, so I decided not to do it.
RPGs.
But anyway, Railcoon says that Reset Tier is one of those games where people always seem surprised when you speedrun it. There's a good amount of random factor, but not to the point where it's unbearable. He only goes in the dungeon once and then just runs the shop, and that's the reason I didn't want to speedrun it, is because, just running the shop gets boring for me after a while. This run had good luck and will be hard to beat, but still very doable. And I caught the end of that run when you were streaming it. It's an amusing game to watch. It's pretty cute.
Alright.
Okay.
So what's this game? Shadow of the Colossus? Is that really what we're up to now?
Yes, it is.
Oh goodness. Shadow of the Colossus by the Otaku Gamer. It says PS3 here. Does that really... I assume that means it's like the PSN re-release of it or something, because this is a PS2 game. I know that's not a palindrome. Any percent single segment in 1:47:47. And he says, "Hi, I am the Otaku Gamer." on on 420, I got a new world record in Shadow of the Colossus. I've only had one big mistake on Colossus number 6. I fell off him and it cost me 30 seconds. Yeah, falling off these Colossus is a complete waste of time. That does suck. And I lose some time on some small stuff here and there. Other than that, everything else went really good. Community that's speedruns Shadow of the Colossus is very small and would enjoy to see it grow. Yep. So it's a pretty decent run. This is one of those games where you see some crazy Colossus strats when you watch like people do the boss rush version or like the time attack version, where you don't have to first of all, you don't have to do it single segment, and you don't have to do all like the 5 minutes of horse riding before doing a 30-second boss fight. So so you have to be a little bit conservative with your strats because it's with a 2-hour long run, but at the same time, you're really dealing with a ton of randomness. Sometimes you see people trying to climb the Colossus and trying to attack it, and it's like, oh, we just gotta wait. And he was trying to charge his sword, but the Colossus shook, and so he lost the charge. And it looks like it's like some sloppiness, but no, the game is just extremely random, and even the best runs have a lot of failures. It's just I gotta hope that the Colossus will hold still for just a moment so I can charge the sword. And sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he shakes you off. I mean, it's actually pretty frustrating because of all these little things, but anyway, it's a great game, beautiful looking game, and there's all kinds of really creative ways to deal with the Colossus that the developers hadn't quite intended. So, overall, good game to speedrun.
Nice.
Is that video still running, or did that finish?
All right. We are a bit behind schedule, so we're going to try and pick up the pace here.
Turbo mode.
Probably unsuccessfully. Up next, we got Silent Hill Shattered Memories by Techie. He has a 123.51 any percent. And he has to say to us, you should play the highlight clip instead of just going to a white screen. Okay, he also has to say, stoked to get a sub 124. With good RNG, might be able to cut even more time off. Glad to have improved a lot and looking to get even better. So I guess in our column, is this run good or bad? This gets a does not suck.
Oh wow, that's high praise.
That's really high praise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder what the randomness is in this game. Maybe where the ghosts spawn or something. I don't know.
I don't know. I was trying to figure. I watched a lot of this run, just trying to get a sense for what you really have to do, and it's a lot of just going down corridors, and sometimes things pop out at you.
Yeah, is this Resident Evil then?
So, I mean, I guess that's what makes something a horror, genre thing, is that you think everything's fine, and then every now and then something pops out. If you were constantly getting harassed by monsters, it wouldn't be quite as scary, would it?
Yeah.
Anyway, there you go. Okay, well let's keep the pace going here. We have next a game called Socket for the NES. Is that really supposed to be NES?
No, I don't think so. I think this is Genesis, isn't it?
I don't think this is an NES game. But anyway, this is a 3132 any percent by Sets. And I believe we've seen this game before, and we're making some comparisons between it and Sonic, because it certainly has some graphical similarities, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, he says, after SGL number 6, that's Speed Gaming League 6th episode, which is what we're going to be doing soon. Or no, that was the last one we did.
Yeah, that was
number 6,
think.
right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so after that he said, I thought I would do some speedrunning, and then I accidentally broke my Socket record. Okay? Just out of nowhere. He says that I think I'm done with, after I'm done with Shatterhand, I'm going to try to beat this record on purpose. Okay, so it's one thing to beat a record by accident. He wants to actually beat it on purpose. So I could totally understand that. But anyway, it's a neat little game. Looks like, Sonic clone, run around, high speeds, bounce off stuff. It's your regular old platformer.
Yeah, the loops have some serious problems in that game. You can just fall right through the corner, and then, yeah.
That sounds like Sonic.
Yeah, it sounds like Sonic. It's really just a Sonic clone. All right.
All right. We got this.
So moving along.
So, okay, here we have... Sorry, go ahead.
Next up is Spider-Man for the PS1. It's an any percent run by Bonesaw577. Bonesaw577. And it's done in 49.50. His notes are, here's my run for Superman 64, I mean Spider-Man. I asked Rockmox, Firecrotch, and Ababob to help me break the game, and we found a lot of places where you can go out of bounds. But the problem is that the levels are so short that it's only worth going out of bounds in a few levels. A very solid run, though there are areas where this run can be improved. All the areas went very well on the run, except for 2 very unnecessary deaths in the sewer levels, and the Rhino battle was extremely sloppy. All in all, great run, and my new goal is sub 49 at 30.
Cool.
I like the use of very unnecessary deaths.
Very, not even a little bit unnecessary. It's just absolutely unnecessary. Anyway, that very first clip you saw at the beginning of this, him climbing up the wall, you're basically climbing up this building and you're getting missiles and snipers shooting at you, and he skips the third phase of it by doing a web shot at just the right time and was able to skip part of that whole scene there. This right here that you're looking at is just some general gameplay of Spider-Man swinging around the city.
Spider-Man's the kind of, like, series/character that it's interesting to see how they went from 2D to 3D. And there was, like, I think when 3D came out, there was a bunch of different Spider-Man games just because it kind of opened up so many possibilities for the character. But it's interesting.
And you can see what's going on here. Let's aim at the crack right at the edge of this barricade and shoot my weapon at it, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So that's a little skip right there.
Is it Spider-Man 2 where you can do this attack where you grapple onto an enemy and kick off of him, and you can basically take an enemy into outer space with you because you can just keep grabbing him after you kick off of him?
Huh.
Yeah, pretty great physics system.
Alright. Up next, we got Star Fox Adventures on the GameCube. This is the PAL version and the any percent category, done by Bambucha. I like his name. In 5:21:33. His comment is really, really complex, so I'm going to try to do this as quick as I can. Played on Wii.
Well done.
And
nailed it.
Yeah, I didn't think this would
Nailed
be
it.
this long of a goal, honestly. I'm surprised it's 5 hours, knowing just how open world this game is, but I guess it's a long category. It's a cool game, though.
Yeah.
It might be the PAL factor that made it so
Yeah,
long.
I wonder how much that slows it down. Silly pal.
Silly pal.
Silly pal. Alright,
Alright.
so up next in our list here, we've got Star Ocean The Last Hope International. Not to be confused with The Last Hope Internet to 28. Don't worry
Okay.
about what we've got there on
Just keep going.
So, Grinny MT finished this in 3 hours and 28 minutes on the nose. Wonder if that's game time. She says, managed to get some pretty good luck on most of the bosses. Unfortunately, some others decided to not be nearly as friendly. This was probably one of the most clutch victories I could have had, though. I'm going to assume that's a really good time because she is an RPG runner. I think she runs Crisis Core, and I think something else, too. But I do not remember seeing this game ever. That's pretty cool.
I don't think so. Okay. So this next game is something we have seen before. Let's see. Super Mario Sunshine for the GameCube. Japanese version, 100% run in 3 hours, 41 minutes, 8 seconds by Samurai Man. So he didn't send us a video because his... Wait, he does... Does he have the video here or not? No, yeah, he didn't send us a video because he said his broadcast stopped in the middle of it. And he's going to beat it anyway. So just ignore this, and we'll move on. Pretend this didn't happen, and next week you'll see.
No, I want to shove you out of the way and get Super Mario World.
Of course.
Okay, so Super Mario World, done by my dog, Dram55. 96 exit, which is an awesome category. Cape over every level, do it. And he did it in 1 hour, 24 minutes, 18 seconds. For his note being, you are all beautiful, I want your D's.
I'll put it in the mail.
Well done, Tram, well done. He keeps shattering this. I think there are a couple people, I don't know about hot on his heels, but there are people coming for him.
Mm-hmm.
So, even though he hasn't been that present in IRC, he's said he's been doing some off-stream DPing, 30 practicing. So people are gonna have to keep trying hard to catch up with Mr. Dram here.
Filthy practicer.
This guy with his D's.
All right.
I don't know.
So we've got some pretty hype runs coming up next. Zost, hot off the any percent trail, after serving some justice to Cut Power, decided to go back to low percent, his bread and butter. He got a 107.11 on the low percent speed booster category. And his comment is, PJ, you're an idiot. You should play the highlight video again.
Good comment, because he was right on with that.
Yeah,
How did
he
you know
was
you weren't
spot
going to
on.
play it?
And after he said that, he writes, first time running this category in more than a month, and I randomly got insane drop luck from the Metroids. Just pretty critical. It's a really dumb way to end the game. I was behind 45 seconds at Gold 4, but I'm happy that I finished the game under pressure after those drops. This is about a 3.5 minute improvement from my previous best. 51 minutes game time. I thought that said 51 minutes goal time, and I was like, what? But no, 51 minutes game time. It's always amazing to watch him do low percent runs. It's a really crazy category.
Yeah. This is a low percent that you don't often see. People are more about the low percent ice than the low percent speed booster.
Mm-hmm.
But there you go.
Yeah, the Metroid luck at the end. Like, I knew nothing about this category at all, and then I watched a few of his runs, and oh boy, I think we get to see it here. Yeah, so basically you get 5 power bombs, and you have to use the power bombs to kill the Metroids. Right? You have to kill the Metroids to open the doors? I'm remembering that right. Right?
I believe that is so.
I think so. So you can, like, clear one room of Metroids out. That's it. You have, I think they take 3 power bombs to kill. So you use 3 power bombs, you kill the Metroids. If they don't drop power bombs, you have to run all the way back to your ship, and then go all the way back down again and clear out the next room.
That's great.
Yeah, it's pretty spectacular. So I don't know if he didn't have to backtrack at all, but he said insane drop luck from the Metroid, so maybe that's so. But yeah, I mean, he said here he was 45 seconds ahead and then suddenly beat his PB by like 3.5 minutes or something, so it's pretty silly. Oh yeah, and you have to hit Mother Brain like 400 times with charge shots.
This is how the Mother Brain fight should always go.
Yeah. Yep. I think it is 400 shots, actually. And you can't get hit once.
Wow.
Great category, in my opinion. Alright, so speaking of great categories, he wasn't finished there. He decided he'd have to sweep the whole leaderboards for Super Metroid. So he did the GT code run as well. And he's got a 3740 of that category. So the GT code, basically you hold, I think it's all the face buttons and maybe something else when you walk through a certain door. In, it's Norfair, right?
Yeah, Norfair.
Yeah, it's when you enter the Gold Chorizo room.
Chorizo, that's it.
Yeah, he's got it in his comments
Torino?
here.
Gran Torino?
The Gran Torino?
Chorizo. The golden
The
sausage.
chorizo. Oh,
Chorizo,
okay.
you got it.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Anyway. GT code is a dev code left in the game. If you hold the face buttons at the midpoint of the door transition into Golden Chorizo's room, either entrance, it resets your inventory to where you have the most ever item in the game and a good amount of ammo too. Previous record was 3756 by our good friend Garrison. So there you go. This would be, I believe, the fastest way to beat the game, I think, is this. Is that not right? I'm pretty sure GT is the fastest.
Maybe
way
the
to use
X-ray
the code.
climb stuff, if you do that.
But I don't think that actually ends up being faster, does it? I mean, it ends up being lower percent than other things, but I could be wrong. I don't actually know.
Logically, that would make sense, because any percent is as fast as possible, and this is like any percent with a semi-cheat, so...
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, mad good.
I assume so.
Alright.
Oh, X-ray climb may be faster. Okay, well. Alright, so if you thought we were done with Super Metroid, we're not.
Jeez, even I thought we were. Surprises.
So this third Super Metroid run we have, also by Zost, he's been a busy beaver this week, is another lesser run category, 100% map completion. And so what this is, it's not 100% in the sense that you get 100% of what the tracked, the item collection is. This is actually visiting all the rooms of the map to completely fill out your map there. And this is a run in 138.05. And, normally we would say this is kind of a bit of a novelty run, but at least it has had, some competition, and a bunch of, pretty decent players have given it a try. And this is a good 2 minutes faster than the previous best by Chronic Sauce, if I'm not mistaken. He had a 140 and some change. And so it's a big improvement there. Oh yeah, he's got it in his comments. I should actually read this stuff. Previous was 140.40 by Chronic Sauce. 100% runner and a really good guy. That's nice. Thanks to him for pointing out that I need to go back into Ridley's room in series after leaving for the first time, as the map does not activate during the fight. So you have to re-enter Ridley's room. That's funny. I'm not aware. That's gotta suck. You get to the end, you're like, oh no.
That's the sign of a good category. Even the game doesn't care.
But anyway, so he made up this route himself, and I thought he actually had some notes on what the route were, but I can't find them right now. Oh well. But anyway, so yeah, he made this route, and it looks like it's a neat category, just especially because it's always fun to route a game that's, of any game, but especially one that's already got a big following and, lots of tech and theory behind it. So, cool.
That's right. So if you want to go after Zost and Super Metroid but can't beat his any percent, go after this. Find a new route, and it's yours.
He's giving you a couple choices here, low percent speed booster, GT code, and 100% map completion, so take your pick.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone want to talk about this next one?
One of our guests told me he wanted to do it,
Sure.
but I don't remember who it was.
Monkeys and balls are good. Let's do it. Alright, so we have... Who do we have? Where is his name? I'll just look at the stream. Gentleman Elite. He got a 2245. Beginner with warps is what he did. It says, actually, it's beginner and advanced according to the comments. This time is in a beginner and advanced run I did just before TSSB today. He beat his PB by 9 seconds. There are many, many mistakes in this run. That's nice. Notably the death on stage 2, falling to the lower floor on stage 13. Not getting the skip on stage 18. 10 seconds wasted on 27. Due to not getting 2 skips, about 2 seconds due to ultimate saving to my memory card after, that sounds not good, after beginner 40, and just some bad goal entries. So he says it's really improvable, but Monkey Ball is really cool. I didn't know anyone ran this specific version, so I hope there's some more competition to that.
I didn't even know this existed.
Yeah, I thought it was just at a port of SMB1, but I guess not.
Pretty sweet. Alright, look at this. We got another PC game, and we got PC runners.
I like Elements. Temple of Elemental Evil. I don't know a damn thing about this game, but it's a PC game, and Onin did an any percent bad ending run in 5:23. His notes are: I sent a 850 run in last week with the note that I thought it couldn't be improved, Then Keyjox dared me to search for optimizations, and now look what happened. 2 significant route changes shave off over 3 minutes. But don't worry, I don't kill any mobs, only kill party members. That's always a good run when you're killing your own party members.
Exactly. Kill more friends than foes, Smite.
And I see in that video he just picked up like a bucket, so hopefully he uses buckets to kill party members.
So, this decided to play a different clip than the one that was highlighted. So we're just, gonna pretend that didn't happen. Onan also had in his comments, PJ, you're an idiot, play the right highlight.
I just figured that was like bonus mode of that game or something. Something you unlock.
Right, yeah. I mean, there's another column here in our spreadsheet, is PJ an idiot, and there's a check mark for an awful lot of these, so...
Yeah. So anyway, this is basically just a Diablo-like game with some real serious fog of war going on.
Yeah.
It's like they definitely don't want you to see anything that you're not supposed to.
Anything. There's no lantern.
There you go.
Yep.
Bad ending. Bad ending.
I always like bad ending runs. Actually, Cave Story is one of my. That's bad ending is my favorite ending of any game. So bad ending has possibility for some cool stuff.
Possibility for some cool stuff. Oh man. So,
Oh man.
please
I see it too.
take it away.
Okay, well, alright. This is the Adventures of Bayou Billy for the NES. This is any percent run in 2101 by Christian. And he has comments, but I seem to remember them being really long. But let me see. Alright, I can read through this while we're watching this amazing highlight. He says, Bayou Billy is a game that has gotten the reputation of being one of the harder games on the NES. I can't really agree with that. This game is pretty generous with extra lives, and I think it has infinite continues too, and with some practice it can consistently be beaten. I don't know if I agree with that, but okay. However, when it comes to speedrunning, it will be a totally different matter, all thanks to speedrunner's favorite 3 letters. I'm assuming he means... I actually don't even know what are
RNG, I'm assuming?
RNG? Yeah.
I know, I'm just...
I mean...
You got us.
I was thinking RBA.
LSD. To give a few examples of how terribly random it is to run this, the second stage, which is an auto-scroller, the time it takes to finish can differ of up to 10 seconds, and I don't know why. The boss on the same stage can decide to stay on the screen the whole fight, or it can decide to stay outside of it for most of the fight. I actually think that has to do with how quickly you hit him when he first comes on the screen, and at what rate you hit him. But was just my observation. I never really was able to manipulate that either. Let me see. On the driving stages, when you shoot, you have to ignore where the game shows you your shots are on the screen, and instead learn where they actually are. That's true. All the stuff in the driving, the hitboxes are completely wrong. Like, don't even bother looking at the screen when you're playing it. Just forget it. And even if you know where to hit, it'll sometimes decide to just say no, and you'll probably die. If you survive, you'll have the wonderful Stage 6, where you have to be lucky and despawn a lot of enemies, and he does mean luck, because it's a bunch of, essentially frame-perfect stuff that you would not have a good setup for. Let's see. Only about 1% of my runs got past Stage 6.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. That I can imagine. Let me see. It's 1 minute faster than his first goal and about 3.5 minutes faster than the current SDA/Twin Galaxies/World Record run. So that's pretty cool. So awesome. Good job.
Man, that final boss fight is insane. I don't understand how that even worked. He killed him in like 6 kicks.
Yeah, I don't quite get that either. It's supposed to take, a lot of...
45 whips each?
Yeah, exactly. So I probably need to look into I don't ever plan to... I enjoyed running this game for the marathon, but I don't plan to do this again.
Yeah.
But I still am curious to know what, all this going on behind all the strats he's using here. Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Alright, so up next is the sequel to Temple of Elemental Evil, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. And I'm gonna get this started straight away, so I don't have to read the PJ Sucks column. This is a 54-minute, 35-second any percent by Wymorn. He says, during this run, I got a glitch that kept Arngeir out front of High Hrothgar and out of the Peace Council. It saved about a minute. This game needs better names that I can pronounce. If anyone can find out how to get this consistently, it would be incredible. This game definitely needs Goemon names. Magical Submarine Castle, whatever. Yep. Anytime you're carrying anything in any 3D game, something's gonna go wrong. Always.
Plate through wall.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, this game is pretty silly.
Wow, that's completely broken.
Boo! Who invited him?
What an amazing discovery.
I will mute Skype. I will do it. I have the power.
Don't platter yourself, PJ. Don't platter yourself.
Wow. Just Is that really how you fight dragons? You just take the damage?
I guess so.
I feel like the dragon probably should have killed
Pretty
him.
much.
Alright, well, there's no way we can make any segue after those puns, so we're just gonna move straight on ahead. Oh, look at this. A PC game I've never heard of.
Alright, I guess I'll take this. So this is Thomas Was Alone. Full game in 59 minutes and 31 seconds by Motion.
Wait, I think that's
It
seconds.
says it's a...
59 seconds? Is that a colon?
Yeah.
It is,
I don't-
okay.
Yeah, that's...
Darn. Man, I was almost really
It was a
excited.
59-second run. Too
I
bad.
don't think so.
You
So he
never
says
know.
this is a simple indie platformer with funny narration. Sub 59 is possible. We'll be trying to cut some mistakes when I get back to running. Very few good bugs to exploit. None in this run. They're all in his Twitch highlights. A handful of bad ones to avoid. Would love to have some competition.
What is this that I'm watching? Oh, okay.
This is pretty cool.
I'm just trying to understand. You're trying to get these two blocks through the level
Oh, that
cooperatively.
was cool.
Uh-oh.
Huh.
That
So I've heard of this game, but this is not one of the random indie games I have that I haven't played. Maybe
Huh.
it should.
It looks cool. It's been on my wish list forever,
Wow.
but I just never got it.
Same.
It's been on your wish list forever, and you didn't want to talk about it. What kind of
Yeah.
friend are you?
I'm prepping myself for the next one.
Prepping yourself. Oh, yeah. No, you need
Yeah,
all the
this is
prep.
definitely Blecky's. Blecky's definitely up next.
Yeah.
Wow, what was that? That's something.
This is a really wacky game. Huh.
But actually, yeah, it's making me want to move from wish list to having bought list.
Thomas
Seems
was
pretty
alone.
Jeez. Yeah,
I
this
have
is
no idea what's going on.
pretty crazy. It looks like you got to get your pieces to overlap with
Yeah.
the outlines at the same time, and the
Yeah.
level ends then. Oh man, he's close. He's close. Got it.
Oh no, there's that little.
Spoilers. We haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
He got it.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert. Maybe he got it. I don't know. Yeah, that's a pretty neat.
Alrighty.
Pretty
Ready
neat game.
for this next humdinger?
All right, he's ready to jump in.
All right, let's
Okay.
have it.
So next up we got Tigger's Honey Hunt. I watched Nest Kamikaze play this back when he played it. So that's my exposure to this game. But now we have Gentleman Elite, who we know from earlier, has done a PAL run of this game on the PS1. It's an any percent run, and he got his time was 36:25:51. I'm going to blow through these comments. Hello everyone, this is Gentleman Elite, my first really good TSSB submission. I picked this game up 3 days ago and routed it in 2 hours after picking it up. I heard that another runner did a run, and it took them 49 minutes and a few seconds. My first run of the week was 42:56, which went down to 38:56, to a 37:11, and finally a time I am fairly happy with, being 36:25. I had no one watching this run, so my microphone was muted the whole time. Run notes. Here's where the run notes begin. The run is close to flawless. Only a few mistakes here and there. I think that's good for run notes.
Yep, I think
And then a bunch of other stuff too.
that's really what he wrote though, and then a bunch of other stuff too.
Oh yeah, here we go. We have poo sticks. Poo sticks competition is heating up. Whoa!
Do you want me to read more? I was gonna.
Nope, you got it. That's
okay.
Now they're rock paper scissoring. How much rock paper scissors can we have on one show?
I don't know. That's gonna have to be for the Wagonland, it's Super Wagonland and Yo Noid Game of the Week episode.
All right, cool.
So yeah, the only thing I'll say from his notes is he does want to route 100% next week, hopefully, which he estimates to be around 120 to 130 in length. So look forward to that.
I will. Alright, up next we've got The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask in an hour 39:36 by some guy called NNOP112. Yeah, I mean, what else is there to say? I think he got this, like, today, didn't he?
I believe this was, from today, I guess,
Like
or
an hour
yesterday.
before the show or
It
something.
was pretty, we got it kind of last minute.
Yeah.
And this is played on the Wii Virtual Console version. Not the N64, just so you know.
Yeah. I actually devoted one of my evenings this week to sitting down and watching NNOP do attempts, and it was incredible.
Mhm.
It's a highly recommended experience for everybody. He's ridiculously good. Like, he does hovers without hesitating at all. It's just, he's a monster. You need to watch him play Majora's Mask. Even if you hate Zelda games, you should watch him. It's good stuff. Alright, speaking of Zelda games, we've got The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons for not the NES. I think this is a Game Boy Color game.
Yeah, it's Game Boy Color. We don't have GBC is supposed to be written as GB in the database, and we don't do it sometimes. And that's why NES logos come up instead of the actual thing. But
Yep.
whatever.
But Paladrima, the go-to guy for this game, he has a 151.43. This was played on emulator, VBA, using the European version, which is interesting. I can't really complain about the luck I had in the run. It was decent. I will keep trying to improve this one. Would like a low 151 or maybe even a 150. Sub 150 would be the ultimate goal at the moment, but it's going to be quite hard to reach that. I used to watch him do attempts of this like a long time ago, last year or something. It's good fun.
Yeah, I always enjoy the handheld Zeldas a lot. They're just so neat.
Yeah, he has a nice accent too. Okay, and finishing off the block here, we've got Skyward Sword. This is a 100% category. Look out.
Oh, man.
Indy Kenobi has finished it in 8 hours, 53 minutes, and 12 seconds. He has no comment, probably because he fell asleep before writing one. Dang, that is a really ambitious category. I think that might be the first 100% run.
Let's find
I
out.
think so, that we've seen. It's certainly the first we've seen. I don't know if it's...
Yeah, I'm not
first
really a Skyward Sword follower, but I haven't
It
seen
is.
one before. Wow. Well, that's pretty interesting. So, congrats on that one, Indy Kenobi.
Yep.
All right, we're swinging in the last page. Here we go. Who wants it?
Well, I don't really know this game, but we've seen it on the show before. This is Trag Mission of Mercy for the PS1. Any percent run in 5653 by Caveman DCJ, who you may remember from being on SGL a few weeks ago. Old Caveman. Let me see. He said good run for a great game. Well, this is the first person we've had that said it was a good run.
Oh, man.
That's record breaking. My goal was sub 58, and I got sub 57 for my trouble. It's not perfect, but I'm happy with the outcome. Yeah, I'll say if he was aiming for sub 58 and he got a minute better than that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Cool.
Let me post the link for that, too. And who wants to take this last one that we've got?
Not all at
All right,
once.
I'll do it. So this
Yeah.
is Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines for PC. Any percent single segments in 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 50 seconds by Lurkchan. Says this is a nice improvement over the 114 he previously submitted. I saved a lot of time at the end of this run, which is by far the hardest part. Some really good RNG luck allowed me to save my blood packs, which is basically a health and mana regen potion, for Ming Zhao, the final boss for this route. I'll be going for sub 1 hour with the dream of performing better during the run, but having the same luck.
This looks interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of a combination of this, like 3D adventure style game combined with like a D&D style thing. I mean, it's based off of RPG, like a paper RPG. And you actually see your menu screen looks like one of the character sheets. It's kind of funny.
Really?
Yeah. But it's that kind of thing. So,
I think she just destroyed somebody. That's a shame. Alright, well, with that, we wrap up our records.
all right. If you want to see links to all the runs we talked about, I'm posting this in the chat here, but go to tssbreak.com and you can see links to all of our runs. You can have links to our past episodes. You can submit things to us using the form on that site. If you go to tssbreak.com/submit, there'll be a nice form for entering all the information that you need. So definitely use that because it makes it easier for us, and it lets you put in stuff like your Twitter ID and YouTube channel and other like social media stuff, so you can get people to link to you, etc. So there's lots of reasons to use that.
Yeah. If you do get a run, please let us know at some point an hour before the show.
Yeah, so some people who, if you've sent us a run at the last minute, sometimes it doesn't make it on there till the following week. So just so you know, usually it's a good idea to send it to us before Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Do what you can.
We would appreciate that greatly.
Yes. Let me see. There were a couple random announcements. Let me see. Oh yeah, the hotel for SGDQ has been decided on. I actually don't know what it is, but it has apparently been finalized. So if you go and check, sometime tonight or tomorrow, Uyama's going to announce that on SDA forums. So check that thread there. Let me see. There was a Super Mario World task, like a super glitch task. Yeah. Any of you guys have the link for that handy? Because I really want to post that. I want people to see that thing. Oh, here we go. I got it right here.
You gotta send it to me.
I'm sticking it in the chat.
Okay, I'll play it back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you got it. So this is, you may have, you guys probably have seen this crazy, like a couple minutes long, beating Super Mario World by spawning lots and lots of fishes, and then doing lots of like scrolling the screen, jumping on and off Yoshi, blah blah blah, basically hacking, doing a bunch of stuff to memory manipulate, and then it suddenly follows a pointer to the end, to the end credits of the game, and so that's it.
Yeah. This is so ridiculous. Poor Yoshi is never going to be the same.
So this is really short, so don't miss it.
Yoshi, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so he just side-duped that block, and he's also he's on, like, I don't know, probably like 15 different Yoshis right now. He had some massive amount of invisible Yoshiing going on. And all the stuff that he's doing right now is really just to set up some stuff in memory so that he can do this jump here.
It's so hard to know how much is deliberate and how much is...
It's just him swagging out.
Yeah. Right.
Oh no.
There you go. Those Yoshis falling off the screen.
Yeah,
that's the invisible Yoshi thing.
Disposing of unneeded Yoshis.
Yeah.
The audio is the best part.
And there it is.
Yeah, the game just says, well, see ya.
Yeah, I've had enough. If you're not going to play, I'm out of here. Alright? Yeah, so, how to play Super Mario World. Oh god.
A lot of things in the air.
Breed Yoshis.
Up on a bunch of Yoshis.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
wow.
Let me see. Also, another announcement, the SDA's big push is continuing still. This basically is the month where they're trying to clear out as much of the queue as they can. So, lots of things going through verification. Expect things to be posted frequently.
Yeah.
So there you go.
In fact, Breakdown just posted an update, like, 10 minutes ago or so.
Mm-hmm.
So, cool stuff there. Do you want to give a quick summary of the SGL results?
Oh, I don't have my notes open, but let me look for it. Basically, Chum swept. Chum crushed it. We did Jackal as the main game, and we did for the mystery games we had Ultimate Stuntman, which turned out to be a surprise fan hit. People seem to really like it, and it's pretty neat. It was a weird combination of driving your boat around and doing strange platforming and wall climbing levels and stuff. And I don't even know what to say about it. and then there was some Marble Madness. But it was pretty fun, for me at least. But it's but it was let me see, it's next week is, how am I blanking? Oh, it's Shatterhand. Next week is Shatterhand week. That's right. And we've got on shoot, I really got to get my notes up before I start talking.
Sets, Mid Boss, Nasir, and
Needle.
There we go.
Thank you.
It's the last addition to it. That's
I
right.
don't talk to Nasir much, but I know that the other three have been playing it a bunch, so I think they should be really well practiced for this week. So, and it's a really good game as well, and a really hard game, both goals. So it's going to be a good one to watch.
Yeah, I know Nasir was cursing at me when I was streaming on Saturday for Shatterhand, so I'm pretty sure he's been playing it.
Did they all vote for it? Do you remember?
It was 3 out of 4 people.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Shatterhand, good NES, platformer type game. You've got a robot helper. How could you not like a game where you get a robot helper
Right.
that follows you around? Yeah. So good. Looking forward to that. That's going to be this Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Those 4 players are going to duke it out in Shatterhand and 2 other mystery games, which are yet to be determined.
Indeed.
Cool. And maybe we should say something about there's a marathon happening right now.
Is there?
Or was there not?
There very well could be. I don't know about it, though.
I'm sorry if I said that when I didn't actually know what it was.
Because I'm a bad friend.
Okay. Well, then why don't you just do some more keyboarding?
All right, yeah, we can do that.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Do our guests have any shout-outs?
Sure. Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to anybody who's watching from the crawl community. I still think of myself as crawl player first among video games, speedrunner second. So, shout out to you guys, and shout out to Marvin Pa for accidentally leaving his stream set to now playing Nimbus.
Started it all. Yeah, the link to that marathon is posted in the chat, by the way. The SRG marathon. That's what I was thinking of.
Okay.
All right. Didn't mean to interrupt the shout-outs. Go
Did
on.
either of the other two?
I guess I'll go. Yeah, shoutouts to Kval and Seb for making a really, really good game. Not just a game, but a speed game. And especially to Kval for talking to us and being a really cool guy. Best dev ever, I must say. Shoutouts to Sir Phoenix, Cure Delta, and Beer Baron for doing our work for us and having strats developed by the time we even started learning anything.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, go ahead, Crate.
No, go ahead. Just agreeing.
Right. And I guess last to Mundungu for running the game because he's probably going to be doing it at SGDQ. And shoutouts to Uyama if he allows it. Unshoutouts if he doesn't.
Unshoutouts. We will allow it. Oh, right. The showcase race. Sorry, Blackie, you don't get to do shoutouts quite yet.
Oh.
The showcase race had a race of Yoshi's Island yesterday. And it was pretty crazy. Carl Sagan and Z-Wing finished within a second of each other.
That was a really
and
good race.
Lee, I think, was just a few seconds after that. So, really close race. That was any percent, I think.
Yeah, any percent warpless. That was an insanely good race.
Yeah.
For an almost 2-hour race, the last 3 entrants, on a pretty hard category in game, the last 3 entrants to be 10 seconds apart, or 8 seconds apart from each other, it's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
The
Blackie, now
Ninja Gaiden showcase race right before that was also pretty interesting, too.
Yeah.
So you should check that out in the VODs if you want to see some, if you like the showcase race setup. Cool. And then you still have one more shout-out to do, huh?
Yes. Yeah, my shout-outs are pretty much going to be boring and the same. So shout-outs to fellow Nimbus players, and of course to Hash Blind. I've been doing a lot of blind racings, as I've said, and I've really been having a lot of fun doing blind races recently. So if anyone's interested in playing a game and racing a game that they've always wanted to play, assuming that it's a decent blind race, join up Hash Blind and see if anyone else wants to race it to you, because it's pretty cool stuff. And
That's really good. Go ahead. Sorry.
We might even be organizing some kind of event soon coming up, so you should definitely join the channel and see what we've got going on there.
Next week, keep an eye out. Blind is a good place for new racers too who want to race something but are maybe too scared to race against really good players in a big game. There's no pressure because you're not going to be any better or worse than anybody else. So
Okay. Well, thanks for you guys for being on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
That was a really
Yeah,
cool episode.
It was a
You
lot of
say
fun.
that to all your guests.
No, just you.
Oh,
Well, I mean it with all my guests. It's different this time. Yeah, it's a really cool game. I enjoyed watching that. I might have to pick it up at some point.
Ooh.
Agreed. And it is a season game, so if anyone does want to pick it up, now's a good time. Because there are actually, even though there are a bunch of people well practiced at it that are getting good runs in, there are also a bunch of people that are just learning it and slowly getting better with times that are like twice as much as the ideal any percent time. So now's a good time to join so you could get practice before the season ends.
Nimbus.
Mm-hmm.
Nimbus. All right, well, thanks as always to our viewers for watching. We appreciate your support more than anything. Yeah, we are going to, I think, consider a raid target. And we'll let you know after the intro plays, I think. I guess we'll do that.
Sure.
And, yeah, then you can go raid them, say hi from us. We're going to play a few minutes of ads after the show, so if you want to stick around and, just mute the stream or whatever, let the ads play, we'd appreciate that. But if not, that's cool too. All right. Is that it?
Oh, that's all I
Do
got.
we have anything else? No? No?
Sounds
No?
good. Thanks for having me.
All right.
And,
Thanks for watching, guys. We will see you next week.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye.
So hello everybody to this
Hi.
Sunday sequence break. We're your new hosts. We booted those other wannabes out of here. No Feasel, no PJ, no Duckfist, no nothing. Just us.